Under the piercing sun, Jiang Tian stood before his mother's shattered tombstone, gazing deeply at her portrait. Tracing the cold stone, he vowed his triumphant return was absolute. Memories flooded his mind. The day his father brought home a new wife, heartlessly banishing him, his little sister, and his mother onto the unforgiving streets. Amidst a relentless downpour, his mother knelt before their towering gates all night long, violently sobbing and desperately begging for an ounce of mercy. Yet the massive iron doors violently slammed shut, mocking her despair. She screamed through the brutal storm, pleading for the sake of his own blood. When the heavy gates finally creaked open, a spark of hope lit her eyes, believing his frozen heart had miraculously thawed. Instead, vicious hounds were unleashed upon them. Blood spilled as razor-sharp fangs tore into his mother's flesh, while she desperately shielded her children. Agonizing cries tore from her bleeding throat as she desperately commanded her beloved children to run for their lives. Miraculously breaking free from the bloodthirsty beasts, she caught up to them, weeping bitterly that this entire terrifying nightmare was purely her own fault. She cursed her inability to protect her innocent babies. Young Jiang Tian foolishly believed the storm had passed and true peace finally awaited them. However, the crushing weight of betrayal proved fatal. Consumed by utter despair, his mother plummeted from a towering rooftop, ultimately choosing the embrace of death. Her final phone call was a heart-wrenching apology. She confessed she had to leave this cruel world, begging the desperate siblings to protect one another. She poured out her boundless, tragic love. That heartbreaking farewell echoed forever as the absolute last time he heard her voice. Rushing home in blind panic, his world shattered upon discovering his mother's cold, lifeless body alongside his sister weeping endlessly. He was merely 14 years old, his sister a fragile 10. The crushing burden of ultimate survival fell directly onto the frail shoulders of a broken boy. Enduring society's absolute disgust, not a single soul ever showed them a shred of mercy. A towering blade descended, threatening to slaughter them both. But out of nowhere, a mysterious martial master intervened, offering them a miraculous chance at survival. 10 grueling years passed. The nation's borders faced catastrophic enemy invasions, losing countless checkpoints and thousands of miles in bloody defense. Hundreds of critically wounded soldiers were abandoned without commanders. Yet, at the brink of destruction, a lone figure violently breached the enemy camp. With one devastating strike, he severed the enemy commander's head, instantly annihilating tens of thousands of hostile troops. This supreme being was the unmatched martial god, Jiang Tian, the military's dazzling star, the ultimate harbinger of war riding the terrifying wings of death. Conquering the war entirely alone, he achieved legendary global supremacy. Surging within his very veins was the apocalyptic power to shatter both heaven and earth. He commanded the very wrath of divine thunder. None of his ancient foes possessed the strength to survive the catastrophic onslaught of his absolute fury. A decade ago, he was trampled like a pathetic stray dog. Today, he descends back into this city as the absolute king of heaven. Soon, all of Haidong would tremble in terror. Suddenly, aggressive thugs stormed the graveyard, sneering and loudly questioning his mere presence. They barked, questioning who permitted this trash to enter. Were his eyes entirely blind to the threatening warning signs plastered across the gates? A second lackey smirked, stating the prestigious Miss Shangguan Nalan ordered eternal vengeance upon the miserable wench buried beneath them. They even desecrated her tombstone with venomous insults, completely arrogant in their belief that no living soul would dare visit this cursed ground. Hearing those words, killing intent flashed in Jiang Tian's eyes. Shangguan Nalan. Years ago, that vicious woman was his mother's deeply trusted and closest companion. Yet, their sisterly bond shattered into pieces over a single man. The arrogant heir born to the immensely wealthy and powerful Chen family. Despite bearing 2 children, his mother was universally hailed as the breathtaking supreme beauty of Haidong, utterly captivating the young master's arrogant heart and love. But her scarred soul was dead to romance. Coincidentally, Master Chen also pursued Nalan, only to ruthlessly reject her later. Consumed by venomous jealousy, Shangguan Nalan employed every twisted, malicious tactic imaginable to prevent his mother from marrying into the elite ranks. His mother's sole refuge was a crumbling estate in Haidong. Naturally, the powerful Shangguan family fiercely dominated the city's ruthless real estate empire. With a snap of their fingers, they forged legal documents, violently bulldozing their only sanctuary into absolute ruin. To finally eliminate the problem, she ruthlessly plotted to extinguish the lives of young Jiang Tian and his sister. Cornered and desperate, his mother tragically sacrificed her own life to ensure their survival. Yet, even death failed to satisfy Nalan's demonic wrath. The vicious heiress refused to let them breathe. Her bloodlust was unquenchable, hunting the siblings mercilessly long after his mother's tragic passing. Seeking ultimate humiliation, she deployed street trash to guard this very grave, fiercely denying his mother's soul even a shred of eternal peace. Exactly 10 years had passed since that apocalyptic day, and Nalan intentionally chose this solemn anniversary to openly spit upon her ashes. This proved her utterly rotten, irredeemable soul. The thugs closed in on Jiang Tian, snarling that their patience was dangerously thin today. They warned the kid to crawl away if he valued his miserable life. Another lit a cigarette, boasting about Master Chen's lavish birthday banquet. Today was also Chen's grand engagement. He was undoubtedly feasting like royalty in a luxurious hotel, entirely blind to the impending storm. While they were stuck guarding dirt, the thug invaded Jiang Tian's space, roaring at him to scramble before they shattered his kneecaps piece by bloody piece. Disrespectfully spitting on the holy tomb, his lackeys erupted into mocking laughter, praising Big John's vile act as another thug aggressively stepped toward Jiang Tian. If he crawled like a dog beneath his legs, he might spare his pathetic life and gift him a lighter as a twisted prize. Jiang Tian glared at Big Jin. Why that foolish stare? Had he never witnessed someone spit? Chuckling darkly, he settled down beside the sacred grave. Never seen it? Then watch closely. In a flash, Jiang Tian ruthlessly seized the massive thug by his shoulder, shattering his confidence. He slammed the massive beast into the dirt, pointing a menacing finger toward the grave. He ordered the scum to lick it clean. They would wipe away their defilement using their own filthy tongues. A trembling thug nearby gasped that this man was an absolute demon. Another whispered in terror at how effortlessly he tossed the colossal Big Jin. The giant struggled upward, begging his crew for backup, but Jiang Tian simply flicked his wrist, shattering the giant's leg. Big Jin clutched his broken limb as Jiang Tian coldly commanded him to lick the earth. His piercing gaze swept the terrified thugs, warning them not to test his patience. Again, the broken giant crawled toward the stone, whimpering his compliance. As his tongue met the dirt, a thunderous roar echoed above as heavy transport choppers stormed the cemetery. The bewildered thugs gaped at the sky. What was happening? Suddenly, a massive fleet of combat choppers blotted out the sun. Jiang Tian gave the signal. Heavy metal vaults detached, crashing violently into the sacred earth. Elite warriors dropped from the heavens, sticking their landings flawlessly before Jiang Tian. The thugs trembled, questioning this absolute madness. These legendary soldiers instantly knelt, chanting, "Hail to His Highness." Jiang Tian coldly ordered the operation to commence. The elite guards obeyed his absolute command, unlocking the heavily sealed vaults. Inside, laid blinding mountains of pure gold. A guard declared they would forge a magnificent new tombstone from this absolute fortune. The pathetic bandits practically choked on their own disbelief. So many vaults, all completely overflowing with divine riches. They had never witnessed such legendary wealth, let alone wasted on a grave. One greedy fool whispered that if they claimed this treasure, they would live as kings forever. Amidst their awe, Jiang Tian traced the golden glow and recalled his mother's sweet joke about a golden tombstone. Now, it was reality. He swore an unbreakable blood oath that the wretched Shangguan Nilan would grovel before him. Her ultimate demise would serve as her pathetic apology. The trembling goons wondered what kind of monster this man truly was, wasting priceless gold on a grave. Jiang Tian shot a death glare at the whispering scum, demanding, "Speak up." The terrified rat practically wet himself, violently bowing. He stammered that the almighty patriarch of the Chen clan commanded them to guard these ruins. Jiang Tian seethed with murderous intent. After slaughtering his mother, that venomous viper actually married into Mr. Chen's family. Such absolute demonic cruelty. Through a decade of venomous scheming, she fully conquered the Supreme Chen syndicate. She even had the legendary Mo clan serving as her loyal hounds. The thug smirked, assuming Jiang Tian was terrified. Nobody dared challenge the tyrannical Chen Empire. The Mo clan leader possessed terrifying supreme authority. Even if this arrogant brat held immense prestige, he was untouchable beneath the Mo clan's absolute shield. Jiang Tian shattered the earth beneath his heel, roaring, "The Mo clan is nothing but dust to me." Instantly, a devastating shockwave obliterated the remaining lackeys. The lead thug violently whipped around in sheer horror. Witnessing his crew reduced to bloody mist, he dropped to his knees, frantically begging Jiang Tian for mercy. He pleaded for a single chance to explain. Jiang Tian sneered. "Explain? A true sovereign never humors the desperate whines of pathetic insects." The thug choked. "King?" This terrifying pressure. He was standing before the legendary winged god of war. Jiang Tian effortlessly swung his hand, cleanly severing the fool's head. He then respectfully wrapped his mother's original stone in fine cloth, handing the sacred relic to his elite shadow guard. Today was the grand celebration for Mr. Chen Nan's birthday. It was time to deliver an unforgettable bloody spectacle. They would gift this heavy burden to that venomous woman soon. Meanwhile, at the luxurious Tiandu Hotel, a crown Jewel of Hedong, Jiang Tian pulled up his imposing vehicle. He glared at the gleaming facade, remembering that this exact blood-soaked ground was once his beloved mother's peaceful sanctuary. His hulking lieutenant, Tank, stepped forward, insisting that the Supreme Commander need not dirty his own hands. A single shadow guard could annihilate them, but Jiang Tian coldly refused. He craved the visceral satisfaction of dragging his enemies into the abyss himself. Hoisting the massive stone, he stormed the grand lobby. Passing socialites swooned over his imposing aura, whispering about this ruggedly handsome stranger. His devastating aura was intoxicating. Another blushed deeply, completely captivated by his dangerous, magnetic charm, desperately desiring a taste. Jiang Tian slammed the heavy tombstone onto a crystal table, casually pouring himself premium spirits. The awestruck girl gasped, claiming Hedong had never hosted such a breathtakingly masculine god. Her companion's heart hammered like crazy. Suddenly, a squad of imposing elites swarmed the grand hall, catching Jiang Tian's piercing gaze. The arrogant security chief, Wang Xiao, marched over with supreme authority, demanding strict obedience to protocol. Guests must submit to reception, he sneered, plotting to present the almighty Mr. Chen with a flawless registry for this grand engagement gala. Every single one of these ironclad security measures had been personally enforced by the ruthless Madame Shang Guannilan, yet this arrogant punk dared to crash her divine domain. Barking aggressively, he ordered Jiang Tian to produce a golden invitation. Then, his eyes locked onto the morbid stone. What the hell is this? He violently reached for the pointing at the tombstone, he demanded to see its contents. But Jiang Tian's voice dropped like ice. You have absolutely no right. Bring Madame Nian down here. With just a pair of chopsticks, he effortlessly blocked the security chief's lethal strike. How dare you? Uttering Madame's name as a death wish. Reveal your package. Yet Jiang Tian's grip remained like an unbreakable iron vice. Release me at once. The chief ground his teeth in pure disbelief. What terrifying monstrous strength is this? Pinned down by mere chopsticks. Releasing his terrifying grip, Jiang Tian watched the man stumble backward into the heavy table. Liquor rained down upon his head as Jiang Tian calmly lowered his chopsticks. High above, predatory eyes observed the glorious chaos. The Chen family's second young master, Chen Hexing, narrowed his gaze. Just who is this arrogant bastard? Family head, Mo Gan scoffed. A weakling. I could crush his skull with a mere flick of my wrist. For years, fools seeking vengeance for their mothers have stormed these halls. Hexing smirked. Their corpses now feed the ocean. What are you pathetic losers waiting for? Throw this trash out. But the guards trembled, paralyzed by Jiang Tian's aura. Stand down, boys. A sophisticated woman silenced the room. The chief bowed respectfully as she approached our stoic protagonist. I am Chu Wanyi, public relations manager of Chengdu Hotel. But in Jiang Tian's eyes, she was nothing but invisible dust. Care to share a drink? She smiled sweetly, masking her desperate need to diffuse this explosive tension immediately. This prestigious engagement party must survive. Placing a delicate hand on his shoulder, she whispered, show me your mysterious gift. I must uncover what explosive secret he brought for Madame Nian and Master Chen Shangchen. Cut the fake pleasantries. Jiang Tian shoved her aside. Summon Madame Nian immediately. Chu Wanyi crashed onto the hard floor. How dare you touch me? A furious voice suddenly echoed through the grand hall. I simply refuse to believe this. Assaulting the beautiful Chu Wanyi in broad daylight, you possess a death wish. Enter Xiaomo, the enraged avenger. The formidable co-owner of Chengdu Hotel slapped a guard viciously. Are you pathetic statues just standing around for decoration? Forgive us, boss. The trembling guard apologized instantly. Ignoring them, Xiaomo rushed to comfort the fallen Chu Wanyi. Are you hurt, my dear? He offered a gentle hand. Fake tears spilling, she sobbed about her ruined dignity. A dark desire flashed in Xiaomo's eyes at her tears. Spinning toward Jiang Tian, he roared, you insolent dog. Kneel and beg for her mercy, then crawl out of my sight. But Jiang Tian completely ignored his furious barking. This sacred ground once belonged to his beloved mother. His family had shared countless precious memories within these very walls. Echoes of childhood laughter and warm family dinners filled his mind. Meanwhile, Xiaomo realized his threats were hitting thin air. You dare ignore my presence? Xiaomo sneered with blazing fury. Let the slaughter begin. He shot Captain Wang a deadly glare. Rip him to shreds. What are you waiting for? The brutal head of security cracked his knuckles, relaying the bloody order. Annihilate him. Panic rippled through the wealthy elite guests. Against those numbers, this poor kid is going to be instantly vaporized. A total bloodbath is brewing. Let the show begin. A dozen armed guards slowly encircled the totally unbothered Jiang Tian. Jiang Tian merely took another calm sip. Your arrogant face makes me sick. The chief growled viciously. I will personally shatter your pathetic pride. Twirling his weapon, he smirked. Guns are far too quick and merciful. Bullets offer an easy escape. I prefer the sweet sound of an iron club snapping your bones into agonizing pieces. Backed by the almighty Chen family, crushing you is like stepping on a fragile bug. Xiaomo gently escorted Chu Wanyi backward. Shield your delicate eyes from this upcoming massacre. The deadly baton swung wildly toward Jiang Tian, but lightning-fast reflexes took over. Slamming the heavy tombstone into the marble floor, a terrifying shockwave exploded outward. Deep fissures tore through the Grand Hotel. The crowd scrambled backward in absolute terror. Two gorgeous women stared wide-eyed at Jiang Tian. Just what on earth is happening? Did you witness that insane power? Up above, Chen Hexing leaned over the balcony. Uncle Mo, this bastard is incredibly dangerous. What is your professional assessment? Mo Gan stroked his chin. Impressive potential. He might survive 3 of my absolute best strikes. Returning to his luxurious seat, Chen Hexing smiled wickedly. Excellent. Let the prey entertain us before his inevitable bloody demise. I am quite curious about that mysterious package. Retreating to safety, Xiao Mo chuckled. Things are finally getting a bit entertaining. Let the men clean up this trash. But as Xiao Mo confidently turned around, his smug expression instantly vanished into horror. Absolute shock paralyzed his body. The entire elite security force was forced to their knees before a tranquil, eye-closed Jiang Tian. Sipping his drink casually, Jiang Tian beckoned the trembling boss. Xiao Mo stammered, "This holy ground belongs to the Chen dynasty. Today marks a sacred birthday and a grand engagement. The legendary Madame Nian will be arriving very shortly. Your explosive stunt might grant you an audience with her, but show even a hint of arrogance, and you are totally dead." He'd soon regret this. This was the Chen family's absolute domain. After all, a wise man would know when to back down. Even a supreme martial artist couldn't possibly withstand her overwhelming authority alone. Her gruesome kills, written off as mere accidents. Jiang Tian simply chuckled, while Xiao Ma smirked, dismissing his refusal to register. He just had to stall until Madame Nen arrived. His plan, lull the enemy into a false sense of security with idle chatter. Buying time was his only play. He just needed to hold out for young Master Chen's arrival. Then, this arrogant fool would be crushed to dust. Suddenly, Jiang Tian struck, sending the heavy tombstone hurtling straight at Xiao Ma. He barely dodged the lethal impact. Jiang Tian casually remarked that he was just figuring out how to dispose of the trash. Harboring murderous intent meant an absolute death sentence. Terrified, Xiao Ma immediately dropped into a desperate bow before the imposing youth, pleading for him to listen. Causing chaos in this elite hotel was already a death wish, yet he dared to attempt murder. Just let him try. Striking a hotel co-owner guaranteed a torturous end. But Jiang Tian coldly planted his foot on the man's skull, ignoring his pathetic screams for mercy. Right then, Chen Heading descended the stairs with the legendary Mo Gan, roaring at him to stop. Chuan cried out in relief at his arrival. This brazen punk had breached their sanctuary, completely trampling over their sacred rules. She had offered a peaceful resolution, only to be violently rejected. This insolence was entirely unforgivable. And then, without warning, he mercilessly attacked Mr. Xiao. He begged the master to execute this brat. Xiao sneered up at Jiang Tian, mocking his impending doom. If he truly understood his hopeless situation, he'd better grovel. 300 slaps might just buy his pathetic life. Only then might he consider mercy. But Jiang Tian's expression remained absolute ice as his foot pressed down with crushing force. With a sickening crunch, he obliterated the man's skull against the marble. Jiang Tian calmly approached Chen Heading, asking him to repeat his words. Trembling in pure terror, Chen Heading stumbled backward, only stopped by Mo Gan's grip. He frantically shook his head, denying he ever spoke. An elite guest gasped in utter disbelief. Did the mighty Chen Heading truly cower from a mere look? Was he tucking his tail between his legs? Could this unknown youth actually suppress the overlord of the East China Sea? Whispers erupted. Who was this monstrous kid? A single icy glare had paralyzed the city's absolute most powerful figure. He had brought their strongest to their knees. Mo Gan forcefully seated the trembling master, calmly declaring he would handle this trash. Mo Gan fixed a deadly gaze on Jiang Tian. Earlier, he had claimed this brat could barely survive 3 of his divine strikes. But he admitted his slight miscalculation. The boy possessed raw talent, making him worthy of facing 10 full-power blows. The crowd erupted in shock. 10 entire strikes from the legendary senior master Mo Gan. Another bystander chimed in with absolute certainty, claiming that across the entire martial world, finding someone capable of surviving 10 of Mo Gan's deadly blows was completely impossible. Even if a miracle prodigy existed, those 10 strikes would shatter their foundation entirely, leaving them too crippled to throw a single punch. Such a titan could only be an ancient master. Stroking his beard with supreme arrogance, Mo Gan issued his grand decree to Jiang Tian. he would grant him one final grace. Death was absolutely certain, but if he somehow survived 10 strikes, he'd be allowed to crawl away alive. Spectators gasped that just receiving this rare ounce of mercy from the ruthless Mogan warranted dropping to his knees in ultimate gratitude. He should be sobbing his thanks. Facing Mogan's overwhelming aura was pure suicide. Surrendering immediately was his only logical choice, to preserve whatever dignity he had left. The crowd agreed this was his smartest play, but Jiang Tian simply tilted his head, asking, "So, you are the infamous Mogan. After all, this was the exact fool who dispatched those pathetic assassins to Wanfeng's cemetery." He mocked him to go clean up his mess. Mogan's eyes widened in genuine shock, immediately snapping at his men to contact Du Wei, demanding a status report from the gravesite. Could this brat be connected to a buried ancestor? Was that gruesome object in the tissue the very proof of their slaughter? A demonic smile crossed Jiang Tian's face as he casually confessed to obliterating every single one of them. Their corpses were just waiting for collection. Boiling fury erupted within Mogan. He snarled, praising the boy's absolute fearlessness in the face of death. He furiously demanded the boy's true identity, but Jiang Tian coldly replied that a dead man held absolutely no right to ask his name. Mogan's aura violently exploded. Since the brat rejected his mercy, he would learn through sheer agony. He promised absolute, unbridled devastation. Jiang Tian scoffed. Was this pathetic insect begging for the grave? If so, he'd happily grant him a swift execution. Landing just one strike would be considered victory. Roaring at the arrogant brat, Mogan exploded forward like lightning, while the guards cheered for blood. Lethal chi surged in Mogan's palm, but Jiang Tian merely raised a single finger. Invisible energy surged. The massive tombstone tore from the ground, hurtling toward the Grand Master. Mogan shrieked curses, noticing it too late. The heavy stone smashed him, sending his broken body flying. His chest caved in as crimson blood sprayed the air. Coughing violently, he stared in pure terror, demanding his identity. When did such a terrifying monster descend upon Hong City? Ignoring the dying man, Jiang Tian casually took a seat, asking who was next. "Bring me a pomegranate." His mind drifted to the unforgettable tree from his childhood. It stood proudly in their yard, bearing the sweetest fruit. Beneath its branches, his mother would quietly wash clothes. His sister would scale the branches, plucking the crimson fruit. Once down, their innocent laughter echoed through endless pranks. Elder Mogan sneered. He demanded answers, yet this brat dared to ask for fruit. He needed to learn his place. Regardless of his martial prowess, this territory belonged solely to the mighty Chen family. Patriarch Chen Badao was a terrifying, domineering tyrant. He stood as the absolute apex predator of the entire Haidong region. Opposing him meant inviting death. Jiang Tian narrowed his eyes. Chen Badao was undeniably the very same scumbag who preyed upon his late mother back then. Ultimately, that bastard still married Shangguan Nanan. Worse, he became the district's most revered overlord. Back then, Jiang Tian foolishly believed the man truly loved his mother. He had once let it go, even wishing them well. That was, until a devastating conversation shattered his world. He had overheard Shangguan Nanan and Chen Badao. The tyrant boasted about being the region's ultimate supreme conqueror. Why would such an elite existence ever love a lowly woman like her? He claimed he offered her an escape. Yet, she refused. The truth struck Jiang Tian like lightning. His mother had plunged from that roof in utter despair. Chen Badao was the architect of her tragedy. His blood debt was absolutely unforgivable. Mogan thrust a trembling finger at Jiang Tian. "Kneel before Patriarch Chen's gates and kowtow until your skull bleeds. The master is merciful to pathetic stray dogs. Perhaps he will spare your miserable life." Jiang Tian scoffed. How pathetic. A weakling hiding behind his master's fearsome reputation to intimidate a vastly superior dragon. Jiang Tian's voice turned glacial. "I asked a simple question. Fetch me a pomegranate. Does this grand estate lack one? Threats are useless. Answer me or perish." Boom. With a casual flick of his wrist, Mogan was launched into the solid concrete wall. Terror suffocated the room. Xuanyi gasped in absolute horror. "Impossible, that is our invincible elder Mogan." Jiang Tian glared at the trembling young master, Chen Heading. "Little brat. Speak. Do you have my pomegranate or not?" Panic consumed Chen Heading. He flailed wildly, stuttering that they lacked them here. I will order them immediately, my lord. I will procure the finest quality." Jiang Tian's aura flared. "Do it. Fast. Remember, I demand a perfect pomegranate. The absolute best, and do not test my patience." Meanwhile, on the lavish fifth floor of the Grand Hotel, a vassal bowed to the Wu Patriarch. "Today is a monumental occasion, the glorious union between the Wu and Chen bloodlines. This supreme engagement would forge an unbreakable alliance. It was legendary news that would shake the entire county. Young Miss Wu and young Master Chen, the two most stunning, peerless prodigies of their generation. A match orchestrated by fate itself. The heavens surely smiled upon this union. Suddenly, an elegant woman bowed apologetically. She expressed deep regrets. Shangguan, Nanan, and Patriarch Chen Badao missed the engagement today. They had flown overseas to expand their imperial business empire. Their grand return would take some time. With their absolute blessing, she would oversee today's magnificent banquet. She prayed Patriarch Wu understood. This elegant elite was Shangguan Suzu. Shangguan, Nanan's own blood sister. Wu Qinglin, the formidable Wu Patriarch, waved off her apologies. You are too courteous. As Heidong's second most powerful matriarch, her presence was an honor. Having her host this legendary banquet was their utmost privilege. He turned a stern gaze toward his daughter. When you descend, greet your destined husband, young Master Chen Heading. Heavy sorrow weighed on his heart. The Wu family was crumbling. They desperately needed a supreme, terrifying ally. In all of Haidong, only the monstrous Chen Badao possessed such absolute authority. He knew his daughter despised Heading. She could only curse him for this tragic, forced marriage. He had foolishly provoked titans he could never defeat. His arrogance had doomed them. Wu Zuo looked at her father, her voice hollow. I understand. She had no freedom. Fleeing for true romance meant condemning her entire bloodline to total annihilation. The path of duty was her only salvation. Marrying that arrogant heir was the only logical sacrifice. Her father had gifted her a luxurious, fairy tale life thus far. Without his absolute protection, she would be nothing. She would bear this burden. Yet, profound sorrow crushed her soul. Her fate was sealed. She would never reunite with that mysterious, handsome stranger, nor ever repay his life-saving grace. Suddenly, a panicked guard smashed through the doors. Miss Shangguan, a terrifying invader is causing catastrophic chaos downstairs. He slaughtered Xiao Ma instantly. Even the invincible Elder Mogan was brutally crushed. Now, that demon is directly threatening. Young Master Chen. Bam. Shangguan Suzu shattered the table. Who is this suicidal fool? How dare he profane our absolute domain? Seeking death on such a momentous day, Wen Qingyan scoffed, questioning why he should personally descend for some second-rate pawn. He ordered her to stay put. He would craft a letter terrifying enough to make that fool tremble in pure fear. Shangguan Suzu unfurled the sacred scroll as Qingyan wielded his brush. Sealing the fateful letter, he handed it over, declaring, some arrogant daredevil had trespassed on Chen Ba's domain. But Lord Qingyan would crush this insolence from afar, without ever stepping foot downstairs, relying solely on his written word. Serving him was an absolute honor. The subordinate bowed toward the exit, praising Mr. Wen as a peerless calligraphy master. No matter how formidable the intruder below seemed, they would inevitably bow to the master's overwhelming aura. When Zhu softly told her father she wished to descend as well, with his nod of approval, she gracefully walked downstairs. As she appeared, breathless gasps echoed through the hall. Her divine beauty was unmatched, a perfect match for Day Sen. Young Master Chen, truly a celestial fairy, descended to earth. Another bystander sighed, dreaming of marrying such an exquisite goddess. For her sake, he would gladly embrace death. When Zhu's gaze swept over the brutally defeated guards, what kind of monster unleashed this absolute chaos? Her eyes locked onto Jiang Tian. A familiar silhouette struck her like lightning. Gasping in sheer disbelief, she thought, could it truly be him? 3 years prior, she and her father had traveled overseas for a critical corporate expansion. Yet, who could have ever predicted those high-stakes negotiations would crumble? Halfway back, their treacherous partner ambushed them the second they stepped out of their vehicle. Her father screamed for her to flee, throwing himself into a brutal clash against numerous bloodthirsty thugs. 2 ominous cars chased her down. Death seemed completely inevitable, but in her darkest moment of utter despair, a godlike figure plummeted from the heavens and managed to halt the speeding vehicles using just his bare hands. He miraculously rescued both her and her beloved father. He was her ultimate savior. Despite that single, fleeting encounter with zero chance to speak, his overwhelming presence burned an eternal mark deep into her soul. Sprinting toward him, she realized that for the past few years and perhaps for eternity, this legendary man would forever reign supreme within her heart. No matter how many wealthy elites or powerful sovereigns she encountered, none could ever replace her singular hero. The guard hoisted young Master Chen, whispering that his stunning fiancée had descended to greet him. He urged him to stand tall and save face before his future bride. Overjoyed, Chen Heading thought of his countless, exhaustive attempts to win her affection over these many months. Despite lavish treasures and endless flattery, she remained an unreachable ice queen. Yet, for the very first time, she took the initiative to seek him out. The ice was finally melting. Bursting with arrogant pride, he threw his arms wide open for an embrace, boasting that he was perfectly unharmed. But she sprinted right past him, throwing herself into Jiang Tian's arms, crying out how much she missed him. The crowd gasped. A guest sneered that the bride-to-be was already cuckolding Mr. Chen before the wedding bells even rang. Another onlooker realized the horrifying truth. This intruder ruthlessly crushed everyone just to reach Wenzu. The first guest nodded, declaring that only this overwhelmingly dominant warrior truly deserved Haidong's greatest beauty. Meanwhile, another whispered maliciously about the bride betraying her groom in broad daylight on their engagement day. Master Chen's pristine reputation was completely shattered into a million humiliating pieces. The Chen family's honor would be permanently stained. As Chen heading flushed with furious humiliation, Wenzu softly asked Jiang Tian if he was the one who triggered this massive uproar. Jiang Tian reminisced. 3 years ago, he was merely passing through, never expecting to encounter a precious companion. Seeing her in mortal peril, his protective instincts naturally awakened. For some unknown reason, back when he and his sister resided in Haidong, they were completely isolated outcasts. Yet Wenzu embraced them as best friends, fearlessly shielding them whenever local bullies dared to strike. Even then, the Wen clan wielded massive authority. He vividly remembered comforting his trembling little sister, while young Wenzu furiously scolded the attackers. She shamed the older boys for ganging up like pathetic cowards, pointing out that they still ruthlessly tormented weaker kids, demanding they feel utter shame. Without Wenzu's radiant warmth, their tragic childhood would have been an absolute living hell. Her pure kindness etched itself into his soul forever. Wenzu tearfully murmured that during their very last encounter, he became their ultimate savior. Had he not intervened, she and her father would have undoubtedly perished in that cold, foreign land. 3 long years had vanished since that fateful, bloody day. She truly believed they were star-crossed, destined never to reunite. Back then, he vanished like a ghost, without a single word. Robbed of the chance to show her gratitude, she finally poured her heart out now. Introducing herself as Wenzu, she insisted he affectionately call her Zhu, desperately asking for his real name. Jiang Tian softly replied his name was Jiang Fei. It was merely one of his youthful aliases, masking his true identity as Jiang Wuken. However, after a legendary phantom soldier claimed that exact title, he realized Wuken sounded entirely too weak. Thus, he claimed the heavenly moniker, Tian. Wenzu beamed, marveling at the cosmic coincidence, mentioning a cherished childhood friend who also shared the noble Jiang surname. Tragically, that boy had been lost to time. Jiang Tian offered a knowing smile, murmuring that destiny itself wove the threads of their reunion. Meanwhile, up on the luxurious 5th floor, a relieved voice declared that the violent storm had finally subsided, allowing the prestigious banquet to resume. Another elite praised Mr. Wen's godlike influence, claiming his mere words restored perfect peace. A mere few strokes of calligraphy on a humble piece of paper completely terrified that thug. He practically soiled his trousers before fleeing into the shadows. Chuckling, he declared that the legend of Master Wen's peerless characters driving away a fearsome bandit would echo through history for 1,000 years. Shangwen Suzu offered a scheming chuckle, revealing a sudden realization. What if she wed Master Wen? Then she would become stepmother to her nephew's new bride. The elder stated that a union between the Chen family's young master and the noble Lady Wen would guarantee eternal prosperity for both great bloodlines. Another elder nodded in absolute agreement, claiming that the very first time he laid eyes on Lady Wen, he recognized her destiny to become the ultimate, most devoted wife for young Master Chen. Through this fated political alliance, their illustrious clan would undoubtedly ascend to heaven-defying new heights. Suddenly, Master Wen's loyal retainer burst into the grand hall, frantically revealing the man's true identity. Wen Qingjun smiled warmly, calmly ordering him to suppress his surging emotions. He figured the junior would be honored by his divine attention, commanding him to safely store the divine scroll. Send him off with a message. Today, he is blessed to receive this treasure as karmic reward for his past life's profound virtues, allowing him to carry this masterpiece away. Sweating profusely, the retainer waved his arms, stammering that Lady Wen, this mysterious youth, they were causing a massive scandal in broad daylight. Wen Qingjun frowned. Did he mean Master Chen and his precious daughter? They are youthful, so it is hardly a scandal. After all, their fated wedding approached rapidly, and she would make a peerless bride. Shangguan Suzu smirked wickedly, purring that she prayed the winter frost would thaw before the ceremony, ensuring Wenzu could quickly conceive a formidable heir. Only then would their bloodlines be eternally forged together. Trembling with panic, the servant desperately grabbed Master Wen Qingjin by the sleeve, begging his lord to follow him immediately. Rushing to the balcony, Wen Qingjin stared down from the tavern's second floor, only to witness his pure daughter intimately embracing Jiang Tian. He demanded to know the meaning of this. Shang Wansuzu approached, questioning what had caused such an uproar. Why the sudden shock? She was absolutely certain this grand union would allow their mighty sect to swallow the heavens and seize supreme authority in the martial world, manipulating her foolish nephew into a deep, desperate infatuation with that girl was child's play. Forcing the stubborn Wen clan into this wedding was the true battle. Soon, the Chen family could block out the heavens with a single hand. Stepping forward, her cold gaze locked onto Jiang Tian and Wen Zhu. What was she doing down there? She snapped her head toward Wen Qingjin, hissing, "Who is this arrogant trash your daughter is publicly embracing?" Fine. Disregarding the staring crowd, how dare she do this before her chosen fiancé? Is his precious daughter actually a shameless hussy who throws herself at every passing man? Where is her prestigious upbringing and ancestral honor now? With such disgraceful conduct, she ruthlessly tramples upon the face of both clans. He gritted his teeth, swearing he had no clue who the boy was. Shang Guansuzu sneered inwardly. Just moments ago, this old fool was offering empty smiles to maintain peace. Yet now, instead of obliterating this interloper, his own flesh and blood was fiercely hugging him. How could she and her mighty family possibly endure such a humiliating loss of face? Her voice turned venomous. She demanded a complete, immediate explanation. He absolutely could not allow the Chen clan's towering reputation to be tarnished by his daughter's scandalous lack of discipline. Otherwise, his powerful sister and brother-in-law would unleash their terrifying wrath. Wen Qingjin quickly begged her to hold back her deadly judgment, insisting they investigate the truth first. His pure-hearted daughter simply wasn't the type to throw herself at random outsiders. They needed to descend to the courtyard and uncover the reality themselves. Storming down the staircase, his booming voice demanded to know why she was behaving so shamelessly right in front of her future husband. Startled, Wen Zhu gasped her father's name and hastily broke the embrace with Jiang Tian. Eyes shining, she swore he wouldn't believe it, but this chaotic young hero was actually their mysterious lifesaver, the very savior he had been agonizing over failing to properly reward. Wen Qingjin's eyes widened in shock as a smile broke through. Was this truly that legendary expert? Grasping his hand, old Wen confessed he had suffered sleepless nights, tormented by his failure to repay such a heaven-defying life debt. Yet, why were these two speaking with such intimate familiarity? Wen Zhu beamed, explaining she had just discovered his true identity. His name was Zhang Fei, bearing a miraculous resemblance to Jiang Tian, the boy she was inseparable childhood friends with. Jiang Tian offered a humble smile, claiming his heroic act was merely a passing breeze they shouldn't fret over. Internally, he thought back to those golden childhood days, remembering how little Wen Zhu constantly dragged him and his beloved sister into her lavish manor to play. Her mother, the warm and nurturing Wen Liming, was a saintly woman. Whenever they visited, she would summon an entire banquet of divine, mouth-watering delicacies to shower them with affection, while old Wen spun epic, hilarious tales to entertain them. Suddenly, Chen Tianheng stomped over to Shangguan Suzu, begging her to destroy this insolent brat. His arrogance is heaven-defying and utterly reckless. He actually dares to demand an immediate audience with his mother. This instant, Grandmaster Mogan tried to enforce our authority, only to be completely obliterated in a single strike. Shangguan Suzu coldly told him to hold his fear. Let her see exactly what kind of pathetic, rootless dog dared to bare its fangs at the mighty Chen family. She stepped forward, her killing intent locking onto Wen Qingjin. She was still waiting for a proper explanation. Why was his incredibly spoiled daughter acting like a shameless fool before the entire world? Though it is entirely obvious now, his precious heir is just a cheap simpleton desperately throwing herself at. She mocked everyone in sight. When Qingyin warned her to tread carefully, she scoffed with blinding arrogance. Is she the one who needs to watch her tongue? It was absolute fate that this pathetic wedding failed. Now, stepping up for her sister and brother-in-law, she declared the engagement completely shattered. She demanded every single betrothal gift be returned immediately. Following that, let this wretched couple fall to their knees before her nephew and beg for mercy. If they dared to defy her, she swore none of them would leave this hall alive. Tears of sheer frustration welled in Wen Zhuo's eyes. How could anyone be this incredibly ruthless? Jiang Tian stepped forward, shielding Wen Zhuo like a mountain. What an absolute joke. Coincidentally, he was about to demand the exact same submission. Shangguan Suzu sneered, completely disgusted by his reckless arrogance. She immediately summoned the legendary Master Xifeng, and heavy footsteps echoed down the stairs. The deadly servant announced his chilling arrival. Panic-stricken, Wen Zhuo tightly gripped Jiang Tian's hand, whispering that this monster was Xifeng. He was the infamous attack dog of the Chen family patriarch, a demon widely feared for his absolute cruelty and flawless execution. His hands were stained with unforgivable sins, making his terrifying reputation in Haiyang a complete nightmare. Known simply as the Reaper, Jiang Tian had to be careful. Chen Heping roared at Master Xifeng, commanding that he must crush this trash with the family's ultimate wrath. He demanded a slow, agonizing death. Fury boiled within him. How dare this nobody steal his beautiful bride and publicly trample his honor? Today, this arrogant fool would pay the ultimate price in blood. The heavily injured Mo Gan struggled, begging for assistance. The Chen family's lackeys dragged him up, while he spat that Master Xifeng brings nothing but pure devastation. This puny brat stood zero chance against him. He maliciously anticipated watching him violently perish. Xifeng stalked toward Jiang Tian, his aura suffocating. Though they had no personal grudge, he was sworn to fiercely defend the Chen family's supreme honor. He granted him exactly 3 seconds. Choose wisely, kneel in total submission or face death. Shangguan Suzu mocked the pathetic cornered dog. She knew Xifeng held a legendary status within the absolute peak of the Chen family. Acting as the patriarch's right hand, his word was law, guaranteeing this brat would eternally regret his blinding arrogance. Chen Heping aggressively pointed at Jiang Tian, mocking his false calmness. But none of it mattered, now that the Chen family's supreme executioner had arrived. The window for begging was permanently sealed shut. He bowed to Master Xifeng, urging him to ignore all consequences, just violently erase this problem. Then, he viciously pointed his finger directly at Wen Zhuo, branding her a spoiled wretch who shamelessly seduced a street rat right in front of her lawful fiancé. But no matter, he would personally break her into obedience. Disgusted, Wen Zhuo declared she utterly despised him, so she demanded he instantly shatter their engagement and vanish from her life. Furious, he spat. Did she think he was a pathetic lapdog who would obey her every whim? Or did she conveniently forget the terrifying Chen name? Suddenly, Jiang Tian raised his hand and brutally slapped his face, coldly, demanding the immediate apology he was owed. Chen Heping slapped the hand away, utterly bewildered. Was this lunatic seriously begging for an apology while facing certain doom? Enraged, he screamed at Master Xifeng to utterly annihilate this suicidal fool. Xifeng stepped toward Jiang Tian, releasing a suffocating pressure. Did this arrogant trash genuinely have the guts to bid farewell to the living world? Unfazed, Jiang Tian chillingly repeated, "Where is my apology?" Suddenly, Chen Heping felt an overwhelming, mountain-crushing pressure radiating from Jiang Tian. What a terrifying killing intent. He crashed to his knees, desperately begging Master Xifeng to save his life. Instantly, Xifeng exploded forward, his terrifying speed shattering the marble floor, and a loyal guard gasped. The invincible master had finally struck, guaranteeing this lunatic's violent end. Another lackey scoffed, claiming he was ridiculously reckless. This foolish brat should have been slaughtered ages ago. Another guard eagerly told everyone to study the master's divine martial techniques carefully. Mo Gan grinned wickedly. With Master Xifeng unleashed, this arrogant child was absolutely guaranteed to die. Shangguan Suzu sat elegantly, praising his overwhelmingly confident advance. This was the absolute end. Chen Heping reveled in his guaranteed victory, maliciously visualizing the horrific torture awaiting this doomed boy. Once the master broke him, he would inflict agonizing, slow torture until he realized exactly what kind of supreme titan stood before him. Wen Qingyan trembled, knowing that while Mo Gan was merely a basic martial artist, the terrifying Xifeng was the personal shadow guard of Chen Badao, the absolute overlord of eastern China. His monstrous power existed on an entirely different dimension. However, it had been ages since heavenly dragons crushed earthly snakes. Unleashing his full inner aura, Xifeng condemned Jiang Tian. His fatal choice was made, so he must die. Suddenly, his eyes locked onto something dangling from Jiang Tian's belt, and his mind reeled. What was that? It looked exactly like a legendary winged cavalry general's badge. He recalled that epic first clash in the Valley of Dragons. 100,000 invincible winged cavalrymen utterly annihilated the enemy alliance, reclaiming their previously lost territory in one godlike march. However, following the blood-soaked Battle of Duan, only supreme winged cavalry generals were authorized to wear. Back during the Great Military Draft, he desperately chased those very tokens, craving a taste of absolute high-ranking power. Sadly, Dao ruthlessly crushed his dreams in the first round. yet he still memorized the strict hierarchy of those tokens. The cavalry generals wielded artifacts of ascending power. Iron sat at the absolute bottom, followed by heavier bronze grades. Next came silver and gold. The ultimate rank, wielded only by supreme generals, bore the legendary vermilion bird. Any fool could buy a fake belt online to play pretend. Scoffing, he launched a vicious strike at Jiang Tian. He mocked the younger generation for chasing cheap fame and flashy trends over true martial strength. To him, it was entirely laughable. But his smug smile vanished. Jiang Tian had instantly teleported beside Chen Hexing, leaving the old master completely frozen in shock. "Where is your token?" Jiang Tian demanded. Enraged, Luo Wenfeng charged forward, roaring that the boy was a naive fool. Standing at death's door, yet still so incredibly arrogant, he decided to violently teach this punk a lesson, striking from behind. Jiang Tian barely flinched. His supreme token flared to life, manifesting a terrifying barrier that effortlessly deflected the lethal blow. Luo Wenfeng froze in horror. Legends stated only apex cultivation masters could manifest such an overwhelming protective aura. What is this? The vermilion bird. Terror consumed his soul. Only the legendary Emperor Jiang could wield that sacred token. His legs gave out, crashing to his knees in ultimate submission. Shangguan Suzu gasped in disbelief, angrily demanding immediate answers. "What is happening here? What dark trick is this?" Chen Hexing screamed furiously. "What did you do to the master? Call a doctor right now." Chu Enyi panicked, grabbing the emergency kit. Soon, medical staff burst into the grand hall. They begged Mr. Luo Wenfeng to stay conscious, promising to apply first aid and rush him straight to the emergency room. Chen Hexing yelled that the old master was suffering a heart attack. The sheer shock must have broken his health. "Do not just stand there like statues. Every passing second is critical. We cannot waste another breath doing absolutely nothing. We must get him to the hospital now." He commanded the personal guards to quickly grab Master Luo Wenfeng and move. "Get him to the car." Shangguan Suzu smirked proudly, thinking her little Hexing had finally become a decisive and commanding leader, handling the chaos perfectly. A guard sprinted toward Luo Wenfeng, begging the trembling master to stay completely still for help. Suddenly, Luo Wenfeng shot up like a cornered beast. His eyes blazed with furious intent as he viciously slapped the guard. Chen Hexing approached, confused, but the elder ruthlessly struck him across the face, sending the arrogant junior crashing into the wooden table. "Do you think my brains are much like yours?" Luo Wenfeng roared. He had once believed Patriarch Chen Badao was brilliant, allying with the mighty Shangguan family, a powerful alliance that supposedly produced two magnificent and highly capable heirs. But were these fools enough? Shangguan Suzu shrieked. "Have you lost your mind? How dare you strike my son?" Wiping cold sweat, Luo Wenfeng snarled. "If you are so eager to court death, do not drag my entire clan down with you. Pride and arrogance are excusable, but true martial artists must always read the battlefield. Failing to see reality is completely fatal." Yet these two were utterly blind to the terrifying truth. It was completely hopeless. He had tried absolutely everything possible to show them the towering mountain before them, but these fools were still looking blindly at the sky. Furious, Shangguan Suzu spat venom. What gave him the right to lecture her like some lowly street servant? "Wait until my son-in-law returns to slaughter you." But Luo Wenfeng refused to let her finish that suicidal threat. A brutal backhand sent the matriarch flying. Tables shattered, scattering expensive food and drinks everywhere. Bleeding, she stood back up and screamed for her elite guards. "Tear this traitorous old man apart," she ordered, but another devastating slap silenced her immediately. He rained merciless blows upon her back. Even if the Chen family still possessed flourishing wealth and deep-rooted power, they were just mortal advisors. Compared to Emperor Jiang, they were insignificant ants. His supreme power was absolutely limitless. He had to ruthlessly punish them to atone for his sins, praying Emperor Jiang would spare his worthless life. Shangguan Suzu cursed him as a rabid dog. Had he gone completely insane, betraying his esteemed masters just to join this pathetic pack of dogs? She swore bloody vengeance. When her son-in-law returned, she would feed him to the hounds. Boom! The heavy hotel doors exploded inward. The hulking beast known as Tank stormed inside, viciously grabbing her trembling leg. "Who are you?" she screamed. Hoisting her up, Tank roared. "Anyone who disrespects the Supreme Emperor must face instant death." He slammed her into the floor with devastating force, lifted her up, and violently smashed her down again. Terrified, gasps echoed from paralyzed guests. Battered and broken, Shangguan Suzu desperately begged the towering giant for his mercy. But mercy was denied. Tank swung his massive weapon, delivering a crushing blow. He then bowed respectfully before Jiang Tian, stating, "His brothers secured the perimeter. Let me execute this garbage for you." Jiang Tian offered a cold, knowing smirk, and He coldly reminded his subordinate that this was no battlefield. Such barbaric bloodlust needed to be kept tightly leashed here. Tank roared across the lobby, starting a countdown. Whoever dared to remain standing would face the devastating wrath of his hammer. Paralyzed by terror, Song instantly collapsed to his knees in absolute despair. Such monstrous aura from a mere lackey. Facing that crushing hammer meant a horrific fate far worse than death, leaving him utterly shattered. Mogan plummeted to the floor, his mind reeling. Why did this terrifying giant treat the young master with such absolute, trembling reverence? The youth's true power pierced the very heavens. He fiercely desired to serve him, desperate to witness the pinnacle of this vast world. The entire room surrendered. Chen Heading groveled before Zhang Tian, shamelessly begging for his pathetic life after his monumental, unforgivable mistake. Zhang Tian lightly slapped his cheek, demanding his tribute. Trembling uncontrollably, the broken Chen swore to fetch it this very instant. Panicking, he screamed at his men to bring the pomegranate immediately. Actually, they needed to drag the entire sacred tree here. Still kneeling like a dog, Chen desperately offered up the massive pomegranate tree, praying this ultimate tribute would appease the young emperor. Zhang Tian accepted the magnificent tree with a freezing smile. It would serve perfectly as a grand reunion gift for his sister. Chen frantically rejected the thanks, nervously stammering that his wealthy parents were temporarily overseas, but would be returning to the city soon. He practically begged the master to visit them later. Zhang Tian coldly noted that since the arrogant matriarch was currently absent, he would leave a parting gift. Let this broken trash deliver his grim, terrifying message to her upon her inevitable return. In exactly 1 month, he would return to annihilate their bloodline. Suddenly, he hurled a massive tombstone, erupting a blinding dust storm. As the dust settled, Chen screamed in absolute horror. The giant tombstone had utterly pulverized his legs into a bloody paste. Approaching the doomed women, Shanggu venomously spat that this arrogant brat would soon regret his heaven-defying audacity. Her powerful son-in-law would exact merciless vengeance. Zhang Tian scoffed, pitying her utter blindness to the true heavenly king standing before her. With one ruthless stomp, he crushed her skull like a fragile melon. Leaving the carnage behind, master and servant vanished into their vehicle. Tank respectfully asked if they were heading to Lady Wang. Zhang Tian's cold eyes softened, remembering his beloved sister's true birth name. His intelligence network had uncovered her traces. The long-awaited family reunion was finally within his grasp. A decade of agonizing wait was finally ending. Yet, he cryptically murmured that the situation was far more complicated than it seemed. Pulling up to Haishanghai, Zhang Tian surveyed the elite academy. This was undeniably the absolute pinnacle of education within the entire city. Only true geniuses studied here. A brutal ranking hierarchy maintained fierce, cutthroat competition among the brilliant, elite students. Amazingly, his sister claimed the absolute top rank. Now, she was universally revered under the glorious name Long Ying. Originally sheltered by their aunt, the poor woman ultimately failed to shield her from the ruthless claws of the Shang and Chen families. Driven to absolute despair, his aunt abandoned the precious girl to a bleak orphanage. A full, agonizing decade of bitter separation had passed. In his fading memories, she remained an innocent angel, blessing the harsh world with her radiant smile and boundless love for nature. Rising as the city's brightest star, he desperately prayed her pure smile remained untainted. Suddenly, menacing thugs materialized behind his parked luxury car. A greasy street rat whispered to his gang leader, drooling over rumors that this top student possessed the ethereal beauty of a water nymph. Her skin rivaled flawless jade, her voice a heavenly melody. Another lackey eagerly confirmed she was the undisputed, peerless goddess of the entire academy. The lackey smirked, claiming their boss would strike gold tonight. Annoyed, the ruthless leader sharply ordered them to shut up. This arrogant ice queen never spared him a glance. Their sole mission was securing the package, so they needed to stay absolutely, perfectly silent. Everyone feared the vicious Puxia. One wrong move, and that psycho would shatter their brotherhood and violently cripple them all without a second thought. A trembling subordinate offered up a drink, frantically apologizing and swearing they never intended to provoke his terrifying, explosive wrath. Another thug eagerly nodded, claiming they merely wanted to help the anxious boss ease his mounting tension before the big strike. Lao Hu growled his final, absolute warning, wait until the target exits the gates. Then, they strike from the shadows where no witnesses roam. A lackey addressed Lao Hu, arrogantly promising a flawless execution. They would capture the prize without leaving a single, solitary trace behind. Having stalked her route extensively, they anticipated zero complications. However, Lao Hu lacked true, bloody experience in such sinister underworld kidnapping tasks. But the vicious Puxia promised massive debt forgiveness and a fat bounty. Suddenly, Lao Hu viciously slapped the foolish cow across the face. Roaring at his sheer stupidity, he revealed Pooja's sick obsession with the girl. This shadowy scheme was designed to keep their employer perfectly hidden. Did this moron honestly expect a smooth operation? Regardless, if fortune smiled upon them, they might even double-cross that arrogant Pooja in the end. He ordered the grunt to chase away the nearby parked vehicle. Strutting over, the arrogant cow violently pounded his fist against Jiang Tian's luxury window. Spitting curses, the street rat demanded the vehicle scram before his gang got angry. Without batting an eye, Jiang Tian calmly demanded a kneeling apology and tea. Only then might he spare this dog's miserable life. These blind fools dared to provoke trouble, completely unaware that fate had delivered them straight to the heavenly emperor. He couldn't just ignore this trash. Cao sneered, glaring into the car. "What did you just say?" he spat, mocking his polite demand to leave. "A tea delivery. You've got guts, kid," Cao sneered. But Lao Hu stepped up, his aura dark, signaling Cao to hold back. He wanted to see which fool dared defy them. Cao jabbed a menacing finger straight at Jiang Tian's face, barking, "Ordering us like we're your maids." The thugs erupted in nasty laughter. Lao Hu smirked. Why not serve the young master? Stepping aside, he crassly unzipped his pants. "I'll brew you something piping hot and fresh right now," he jeered maliciously. He approached the window, holding a glass of warm filth. "Boss, you're too generous to this brat," his lackey cackled. "It's just senior hospitality." Lao Hu chuckled darkly. "We elders must show these arrogant juniors their proper place." Jiang Tian completely ignored the barking dogs. His piercing gaze swept past them, locked entirely on the exiting students. His mind raced through the intel. His little sister supposedly lived in the city's dilapidated southern slums. His aunt's old home in the second southern alley, but records stated it was completely wiped out 2 years ago. Her current whereabouts? A total mystery. If his aunt had secretly sheltered his sister, the enemies might have struck earlier. Lao Hu's vein bulged in pure rage. "Are you blind, punk? Your elder personally poured you a drink. Get out and kneel in thanks." Suddenly, a thug grinned wickedly, announcing the school bell had finally rung. Target spotted. Lao Hu clicked his tongue in annoyance at the timing, violently splashing the vile liquid across Jiang Tian's hood. Unaware of the danger, Jiang Wan strolled out with classmates. A girl beamed, praising her brilliant tutoring skills. "Your geometry tips saved my life. I would have completely bombed that exam without you," her friend gushed gratefully. Suddenly, they froze. "Look out," her friend whispered, trembling. The same creepy stalkers from yesterday were blocking the path. Panic set in as the thugs advanced like predators. "We need to run and grab a teacher right now. Those utter scumbags." Whispers erupted among the gathered students as more girls spotted the menacing gang approaching. "Look, the gangsters are chasing our perfect princess again." A jealous classmate scoffed at the unwanted, dangerous attention. "It's so unfair. Why do the bad boys only swarm around Miss Know-It-All?" The bitter girl muttered enviously. "Maybe she just secretly likes the thrill." Her friend snickered. Lao Hu blocked Jiang Wan's path like a massive wall. "Wanna go for a little ride, sweetheart?" he purred. Suddenly, brave underclassmen stepped up, shielding their beloved senior. "Back off, creep. You're on school grounds," a brave boy shouted, refusing to be intimidated by underworld trash. "You think you can break the law in broad daylight?" Lao Hu's eyes flashed with malice as he violently grabbed the kid's collar. "Law? You little brats dare lecture me? I am the law here." With a cruel sneer, he slapped the boy hard. "Stop, leave him alone," Jiang Wan cried out. Lao Hu stepped menacingly closer. "Don't tremble, little bird, I won't bite." Reaching out with filthy hands, he ordered her to comply. "Get in the car, now." But in a flash of movement, an engine roared. A fierce woman drifted her motorcycle between them. "Hop on, kid," Jiang Wan gasped. "Master Xia." Tires screeched as they vanished. Cao panicked, turning to his boss. "That crazy woman took our target. Why aren't we chasing?" Smack. Lao Hu cuffed his underling's head. "Idiot. Try outrunning a roaring motorcycle with your 2 pathetic legs. No wheels, no chase. But don't sweat it." Lao Hu grinned wickedly. "This game of cat and mouse isn't over yet." Cao's eyes lit up. "You have a backup plan, boss." Lao Hu chuckled. "A fleeing monk must always return to his temple. Her adoptive father runs a rusty food stall in the old district. That's exactly where our little bird is hiding. Plus, we get a free feast out of it." Cao laughed maliciously, amazed by his boss's cunning and ruthless strategy. "Following you guarantees a full stomach and 0 worries, boss." Cao bootlicked, completely unaware of the looming shadow behind them. Listening from his car, Jiang Tian's eyes glowed with deadly killing intent. "The only thing you'll find today is hell." Meanwhile, Master Sia's bike tore through the dusty streets, finally skidding to a halt at Long Duyong's humble street stall. Her adoptive father looked up, wiping his weathered hands. "You're home early from school, sweetheart. Is everything all right?" he asked gently. "You should be out playing. I can handle the rush." Then his warm eyes spotted her savior. "Ah, Master Xia. I just finished braising some fresh mutton. Please stay and eat." Master Xia smiled politely but declined, citing urgent martial matters. "But today is a very special day. You must stay," Long insisted. Jiang Wan tightly hugged Master Xia's waist, silently pleading. She whispered desperately, begging her master to keep the terrifying gangster encounter a secret to protect her poor father's heart. Suddenly, Long emerged holding a brightly lit cake. "Happy birthday, my precious daughter," Master Xia gasped in pure shock, instantly apologizing. "I had absolutely no idea it was your special day," she exclaimed warmly. Long smiled, his eyes holding hidden depths of sorrow. His voice broke, apologizing for the cheap, tiny cake. But he promised to work his fingers to the bone to buy her a proper gift. Tears welled in Xiang Wan's eyes. Why did he waste his hard-earned cash? He shouldn't have bought anything. A simple plate of roasted lamb would have made her the happiest girl alive. Master Xia smiled warmly, urging her to make a wish. Wiping her tears away, Xiang Wan closed her eyes. First, for her father's endless health and joy. Second, that her biological mother was watching from the heavens, brimming with absolute pride. She prayed her mother had finally found eternal peace. And for her third wish, a desperate plea to reunite with her long-lost brother. 10 agonizing years had passed without a single trace. Was he safe? Did he have warm clothes for winter and an umbrella for the rain? She prayed he was surrounded by boundless love. Suddenly, the roar of an engine shattered the touching moment. Thugs poured out of a truck. Boss Lao sneered, mocking them for hiding away just to throw a pathetic birthday party. He aggressively grabbed a handful of cake, tasted it, and violently spat it out. What was this absolute garbage? It tasted like pure dirt. With a vicious kick, he shattered the table, mocking her father as a worthless fossil. Was this cheap pastry all he could afford? Why even breathe? Furious, Master Xia stepped up to shield the Long family. She warned the scum he was crossing a dangerous line. Xiang Wan was her beloved disciple, totally off limits. Lao flashed a predatory grin, his eyes full of wicked intent. He loved a fiery senior with such charming defiance. Bam! Master Xia struck him hard, ordering him to shut his filthy mouth. Lao merely chuckled, mocking her weak strikes. Then, he commanded his goons to drag the young girl to the van. Father Long Duxing desperately intervened, begging for peace. He swallowed his pride, pleading for everyone to calm down. He offered to treat the gang to premium roasted lamb, hoping a grand feast would extinguish their blazing fury, so they could negotiate this like civilized men. Lao threatened to break his bones if he dared resist. This was their turf. He arrogantly claimed a seat. Knowing their prey had nowhere to run, he ordered the old man to serve them the finest liquor and meat. As the ravenous thugs feasted, a heartbroken Xiang Wan whispered apologies to her father. This nightmare was entirely her fault. She had lured trouble to their doorstep. But her father smiled warmly. As long as he stood breathing, she was safe. He had summoned Dokai for backup. Still, he cursed his tragic fall from grace. Back in his golden era, street rats like these would tremble at his very shadow. The underworld had lost its honor, breeding a generation of fearless, rabid dogs who ignored all consequences. Complete scumbags. 10 agonizing minutes later, Dokai finally arrived on the scene. Long quickly handed over a thick stack of cash, praying for salvation. Dokai pocketed the bills, promising a swift resolution. He swore to handle it, but shamelessly demanded to be fed first. His stomach had been empty since the break of dawn. He barked at Long to roast some meat. Long agreed, only to watch in absolute horror as Dokai joined the thugs. Boss Lao roared with laughter, thrilled by his buddy's arrival. It had been way too long since they drank together. Time to drown in liquor. Suddenly, Lao's tone turned deadly. It was time to wrap up this boring little game. He reminded everyone who truly ruled these brutal streets. Protection fees were mandatory, and the old man owed them big time. He pitched a deal from hell itself. Looking straight at Long, he demanded Xiang Wan for a single, dark night. In exchange, rent would be sliced in half. Unsheathing a gleaming blade, he declared Big Boss Pusha wanted her. He sadistically promised she'd be returned safely, hand the girl over immediately, or prepare to bathe in his own blood. Otherwise, that knife was going straight through his ribs. Long Duxing froze, forcing a strained smile. This had to be a sick joke. His precious daughter was merely a high school freshman. She was just an innocent child. The discussion was over. Smack. Lao ruthlessly slapped the old man across the face. Did this trash dare defy his absolute authority? Did he have a death wish? Traitorous Dokai sneered, telling Long to surrender. Fighting back was total suicide now. Nobody crossed Lord Pusha and lived. A dormant rage erupted within Long Duxing's eyes. He didn't care about the odds anymore. These men were ravenous beasts. Whoever dared touch his daughter would face his absolute wrath. Dokai's face twisted in fury, mocking the old fool for playing hero at the worst possible time. He was begging for a gruesome, painful end. Two brutes violently pinned Long's arms, crushing his bones to prevent escape. Lao disgustingly spat right in his face, declaring that catching Boss Pu Sha's eye was an absolute divine blessing. The boss could spoil her far better than a pathetic loser, who couldn't even afford a decent cake. But by resisting the heaven's will, he had awakened a terrifying, unforgiving nightmare. Facing his wrath, their business here was finished. He brought this ruin upon himself. The thug barked orders at Long Yiding, demanding she follow them quietly, promising a gentle touch. Long Duyong fought back desperately, roaring that these scum had better not lay a single finger on his precious daughter. Smashing several goons into the dirt, he swung a heavy folding chair straight at Lao Hu's smug face. Boiling with absolute fury, Lao Hu viciously kicked the desperate father right in the skull, screaming at him to remember his pathetic place. The mob of thugs swarmed him mercilessly. One sneered that he had courted death today, and his miserable end had finally arrived. Throwing herself into the danger, Jiang Wanying shielded her battered father, begging them to stop. The chaotic scene drew terrified onlookers, as a trembling woman whispered how tragic this poor family's fate was. They desperately needed a savior, but a man quickly warned her it was a suicidal idea. That beast Lao Hu ruled the Datong night market. This was his undisputed kingdom, and absolutely no one dared to cross his path here. Suddenly, the crowd gasped in shock, pointing at a roaring engine. Was this stranger insane? Jiang Tian violently smashed his vehicle straight into the gang's truck. Kicking his door open, he stepped out with chilling calmness, mocking how a pack of grown men bullying an elderly man and a helpless girl was a pathetic sight. Did they have absolutely no shame? In the crowd, a stunned girl frantically tapped her friend Lan Ji. Just look at him. He possessed an otherworldly, breathtaking handsomeness. Lan Ji eagerly nodded, completely mesmerized by his striking, godlike features. Her heart was racing like wild horses. She desperately wanted his number. Through her tears, Jiang Wanying looked up and locked eyes with Jiang Tian. A buried memory sparked instantly. Striding through the tension, Jiang Tian smiled warmly and called out to his precious little sister. Trembling, she reached out, her voice breaking in absolute disbelief. Was this really her long-lost brother? Opening his arms wide, his gentle voice confirmed the impossible truth. Her brother had finally returned from the abyss. Pinching her own arm hard, tears streamed down her face. This was no dream. He was truly back. Throwing herself into his embrace, she sobbed that he had actually come to save her. Gazing up with tear-filled eyes, she whispered that he probably wouldn't believe it, but she had prayed to the heavens for his return today. And like magic, he appeared. Would he promise never to vanish again? With a deeply reassuring smile, Jiang Tian vowed to banish all her fears. He would never abandon her again. From this exact moment forward, no soul alive would ever dare to harm her. Deep within, his supreme aura surged. As the legendary commander-in-chief of the entire nation's military might, he wielded earth-shattering authority. Yet, hidden in the shadows, these foolish mortals completely mistook this godlike entity for mere street trash. Across the vast empire, he alone bore the terrifying title, the Emperor of Heaven. This supreme crown belonged solely to him, bearing an ironclad law rooted in 3 absolute golden rules, and the ultimate taboo. Absolutely no one breathes if they dare threaten his beloved family. Glaring at his wrecked truck, Lao Hu marched toward Jiang Tian with murderous intent, recognizing him as that arrogant punk from the school gate. Did this reckless fool have a death wish? Acting tough and smashing vehicles, thought he'd face 0 consequences. He better cough up 500,000 yuan right now, or else. He generously offered a second choice, refused to pay, and crawl away with completely shattered legs. Thugs swarmed them, ignoring their deadly threats. Jiang Tian gently turned to Wanying, softly mentioning he remembered her real birthday wasn't today, so why this special celebration? She softly explained that exactly 10 years ago, their heroic aunt saved her life. To honor that life-changing miracle, their father declared today her spectacular 2nd birthday. Naturally, they still joyfully celebrated her actual date of birth too. With a warm gaze, Jiang Tian announced he brought a magical gift. Strolling back to his ruined car, he retrieved a vibrant pomegranate sapling from the wreckage, presenting it as her ultimate birthday surprise. Cradling the precious plant in her arms, she beamed, marveling at its absolute beauty. Her heart overflowed with gratitude. Meanwhile, Lao Hu's veins popped with absolute fury. Was he completely invisible to this punk? Roaring, he branded Jiang Tian a suicidal freak. How dare this nobody act so high and mighty after destroying their property? Consumed by blazing wrath, the tyrant swore he wouldn't rest until this brat was beaten into a bloody pulp. Suddenly, the cunning Dahai intervened, offering to interrogate this foolish child first. He promised to extract maximum profit from this insult. There was no need to let anger ruin a glorious payday. Lao Hu coldly sneered, granting this dead man just one final chance to buy his life. Stepping up, Da Hai arrogantly lectured Jiang Tian, claiming his barbaric actions had completely offended their civilized society. Smashing a truck and chatting like it was a casual Tuesday. Unforgivable. However, they might graciously overlook this absolute disrespect just this once. The price for survival, 1 million for striking the boss, and 2 million for the wrecked truck. Hand over 3 million, and he might breathe tomorrow. Treating them like invisible trash, Jiang Tian casually told his sister to prepare to visit their aunt soon. He hadn't seen that beloved woman in an entire decade. Wen Ying hesitated, opening her mouth to mention their aunt's situation, but suddenly fell, completely silent. Instantly sensing the dark shift, Jiang Tian's eyes narrowed, questioning the issue. Trembling, she confessed their aunt was facing massive trouble, begging them to keep it an absolute secret. His aura chilling, Jiang Tian gently promised they would unpack this dark mystery safely back at home. Snapping at the blatant disrespect, Da Hai exploded with sheer fury. Did this unbelievably arrogant brat truly think he was walking out of this alley alive? It was time to mercilessly crush his spirit. Shouting to the seething Lao Hu, he mocked the kid's blinding, foolish confidence. This clown was practically begging for death. He arrogantly sneered that this street trash definitely didn't belong to any of the legendary first or second-tier noble families. The Hong City elite refused to pay. Now, their only option was to beat this fool into submission. Lao Hu sneered with malicious glee. Time to show this lunatic the consequences. Jiang Ying trembled, hiding behind her brother. I'm terrified, she whispered. Jiang Tian's voice was a gentle shield. Do not fear. I am here. Da Kai swaggered forward. Jiang Tian's gaze turned icy. Where is the tea I ordered? Da Kai raised his fist, mocking, you're a dead man. Drink your tea in hell. Jiang Tian casually deflected the strike, countering with a bone-crushing elbow as another thug lunged. With phantom-like speed, Jiang Tian stepped back. He buried his fist into the attacker's gut. Suddenly, an ambush from behind. Without even looking, Jiang Tian caught the fist. A brutal uppercut shattered. Jiang Tian launched into the air. He crashed down like a mountain, pinning his prey to the concrete. A fourth assailant struck from the shadows. Jiang Tian smoothly evaded, delivering a devastating counter. In mere seconds, every single street thug lay groaning. On the cold ground, Lao Hu's eyes went wide. What just happened? Da Kai spat blood. Jiang Tian smirked. I have some questions for your boss. Call him over. Lao Hu gritted his teeth, barking like a cornered dog. You arrogant bastard. Do not think you are invincible in this city. One phone call, and your miserable life is forfeit. Jiang Tian's smile was razor sharp. I am giving you that exact opportunity. Trembling, Lao Hu dialed his backer, sneering at Jiang Tian. My big brother is coming with his elite crew. Just you wait. You will regret the day you crossed my path. Da Kai spat. You are utterly dead. You provoked the wrong people. If you had just submitted, you might have survived. Lao Hu's cousin is Boss Xie, the absolute tyrant of this district, commanding dozens of ruthless killers. But I will be merciful. Hand over your pretty sister and 100,000 cash from that pathetic old man, and crawl on your knees, begging for mercy. Otherwise, when Boss Xie arrives, he will rip you to shreds in minutes. Jiang Tian stood as silent as an ancient statue. Uncle Long pleaded. You are Ying's brother. Yes. Please, heed an old man's warning. Grab your sister and flee for your lives. Boss Xie is a ruthless monster. No one in this city dares provoke his wrath. We are nothing but ants to them. We must escape. His trembling finger pointed toward a ruined building across the street. An internet cafe once stood there. But the owner dared to refuse Boss Xie's protection fee. Days later, a mysterious car crash destroyed his life. Now, he rots in a wheelchair, crippled forever. That is the tragic fate of all who resist. Jiang Tian calmly set a chair upright. Thank you, Uncle Long, for protecting my sister through these dark years. He gently seated the trembling elder. Your days of suffering are finally over. I am here now. I will carve out a glorious future of infinite wealth for you. Da Kai laughed maniacally. You delusional fool. You will be a crippled corpse in 5 minutes. Yet you stand here, preaching empty promises to a useless beggar. You look like a smart guy, but nothing but suicidal arrogance spills from your pathetic mouth. Uncle Long grabbed Jiang Tian's sleeve. If I had your youth and strength, I would take Ying and run to the ends of the earth. I will sacrifice my old bones to delay them. Jiang Ying sobbed. Brother, you are a peerless fighter, but you are just one man. A lone lion falls to a pack of wild dogs. Jiang Tian chuckled darkly. Who said I stand alone? Behind me stand 1,000 elite vanguards. and over 100,000 blood-forged warriors. They have conquered mountains and rivers. Lao Hu burst into hysterical laughter, courting death with such pathetic bluffs. If you command a mythical army, why don't you summon your invisible legions right now? Prove your insane boasting. Suddenly, roaring engines shattered the tension. Heavy trucks swarmed the street, disgorging waves of armed enforcers. Lao Hu's eyes lit up. Big Brother Xia is here. Boss Xia stepped out, his aura suffocating. Drag that barking dog to my feet. Lao Hu sneered like a victorious hyena. He marched up to Jiang Tian. Are you deaf? Kneel before Big Brother right now. Smack. Jiang Tian's backhand sent Lao Hu flying like trash. Da Kai charged forward, screaming, you dare strike him in Boss Xia's presence. You are rushing to the gates of hell. Smack. Da Kai hit the dirt too. Bloody and humiliated, Lao Hu wailed to his boss. This lunatic defies your supreme authority. Boss Xia casually bit into a skewer of meat, his eyes flashing with lethal intent. Such unparalleled audacity. To disrespect me in my own domain. I give you one final choice. Crawl to me or pay with your worthless life. 3 seconds. The deadly countdown began. Panic gripped Uncle Long and Miss Xia. Miss Xia, stepping forward, she declared, hold on. I am Xia, king of the noble Xia family. By the prestige of my bloodline and the authority of Master Gu, I demand you turn a blind eye and grant us safe passage. She initially believed Jiang Tian's martial prowess could crush these local street rats. But this escalation was a disastrous twist of fate. To strike the very blood brother of the district tyrant, the situation had spiraled into an uncontrollable nightmare. Survival seemed utterly impossible. Their options were exhausted. Boss Xia laughed darkly. The noble Xia family, even your father and Master Gu Xuan wouldn't dare provoke me. How dare she address him with such disrespect, overstepping her family's authority entirely. Yet, the stubborn Ziqing stood firm, declaring that Long Yiding remained her precious student above all else. As her master, she had to protect her. Jiang Tian realized this delicate woman harbored immense inner strength, shielding others despite the crushing aura. Such noble resolve commanded absolute respect. He expressed his gratitude for protecting his little sister, declaring that from this moment forward, he would handle the encroaching storm. Ziqing panicked, asking why he could not just swallow his pride and stay silent. Did he really think he could face this looming disaster alone? He needed to ensure his own survival first. Wang Xiao sneered, counting to 2, while Jiang Tian, calmly finishing the countdown for him, coldly asked for his next move. Wang Xiao tore into his meat, scoffing that this brat was nothing but a suicidal fool. Suddenly, the color drained from his face as recognition hit. Why was this terrifying monster here? Was this some cruel twist of fate? This Wang Xiao was the hotel's absolute security chief, notoriously feared in the treacherous underworld simply as the ruthless brother Yao. He trembled violently, while Lao Hu, completely clueless, mocked that this weak pup must be terrified by Senior Yao's blazing fury. He smirked wickedly, taunting Jiang Tian. Did he still dare to act tough before their boss? He better drop to his knees and beg for mercy, or their leader would annihilate him. Da Kai sighed, muttering that if they had just followed his warnings, this disaster could have been dodged. Now, they must face the music. These fools needed a brutal reminder of their absolute bottom-tier status. Kai arrogantly stood, spat thick saliva into a glass, and laughed to Brother Yao that since this trash demanded tea, he should drink this filth. Wang Xiao brutally backhanded him, roaring in absolute terror. Was he begging for death by offending this titan? He forced the flesh insertion, tainted glass to Kai's mouth, ordering him to swallow his own vile brew. Confused, Lao Hu demanded to know why their boss was raging. Wang Xiao delivered a bone-shattering slap to his face, screaming like a madman. How could he be this insanely dense? They actually dared to provoke the monstrous Mr. Jiang. He unleashed a flurry of savage punches, screaming that unless he had 9 extra lives to throw away, he should start using them right now, because doom had arrived. Da Kai's mind raced with sheer panic. What in the heavens broke Brother Yao? From the looks of this overwhelming pressure, the tables had completely turned, and he needed to flee immediately. He nervously told Wang Xiao he had urgent matters to attend to, making a cowardly excuse to slip away. Wang Xiao viciously struck him down, snarling. Did he think he could insult Mr. Jiang and just casually walk away? He delivered devastating hooks straight to his jaw. Da Kai collapsed into the dirt, crying out in utter disbelief over what was unfolding. Why this sudden betrayal? Was their fierce leader truly terrified of this mere brat? Wang Xiao ruthlessly kicked his ribs, commanding him to seal his worthless lips. He scrambled toward Jiang Tian on trembling knees, begging for mercy, claiming absolute ignorance. He groveled miserably, bowing his head into the concrete, swearing he had no idea who he was dealing with. He pleaded for a supreme master's boundless grace, begging him to forgive His fatal mistake just once. A shocked bystander gasped. Was the infamous brother Yao of the Da Tang night market actually kneeling before this stranger? Another spectator questioned this impossible reality, wondering if he lost his mind. Long Yiding watched in awe, realizing she completely underestimated the legendary power of elder brother Jiang Tian. Even the terrifying Wang Xiao was groveling, like a dog for salvation. However, the sinister Pu Xiao was the real mastermind pulling these dark strings. The overwhelming influence of the Pu bloodline rivaled even the legendary Chen family. These two colossal clans dominated the Hai Dian territory, locked in a brutal war for supremacy without boundaries. Normal humans were mere cannon fodder, ensuring absolutely no one dared cross their bloody path, let alone solo. Yet, this fearless warrior strode forward with unshakable confidence. He mirrored the aura of a certain legend. Though he lacked that veteran's years, his blazing tenacity and sheer reckless battle spirit could rival even the greatest masters. Ziqing's mind raced, recalling the ancient proverb that supreme sky dragons never bother with lowly earth snakes, and brute force alone could not conquer every insurmountable worldly problem. The ruthless Pu family was absolutely not a force this lone prodigy could provoke and casually expect to escape with his life intact. Jiang Tian's aura turned freezing cold as he declared Long Yiding his sworn sister, condemning these thugs for their vicious cruelty. Furthermore, they dared to attempt a kidnapping. He challenged Wang Xiao to imagine his righteous fury in his shoes. He delivered a sharp blow, commanding him to scram from his sight. As Wang Xiao smashed the table in frustration, Jiang Tian casually extended his palm, summoning the trembling Kai forward. He violently yanked him into his terrifying grip, menacingly asking about that special tea. His fingers crushed his windpipe, forcing Kai to gasp out pitiful apologies, admitting he was completely wrong. Begging for mercy, Jiang Tian discarded him like absolute trash, then locked his piercing gaze onto Lao Hu, who desperately cried out that he committed all these sins under Pu Shao's strict commands. It was entirely his master's sinister plot to abduct his precious sister and deliver her. He claimed he was merely a pawn following dark orders. Jiang Tian sneered, vowing to naturally hunt down the Pu family later. But right now, he would brutally settle the immediate blood debt. Jiang Tian violently seized Lao Hu by the hair, dragging him mercilessly toward his vehicle. He halted right beside the door that Lao Hu had disrespectfully soiled earlier, coldly pointing out his previous disgusting handiwork. He commanded the trembling thug to lick the filth clean with his own tongue. Lao Hu stared at the stained glass, protesting that even with absolute power, he could not strip away a man's final shreds of dignity with such a terrifyingly calm face. Jiang Tian's eyes narrowed, stating he saw absolutely zero dignity when this dog defiled his property, and he certainly felt no. Oh, you understand? You dare to test my patience. Fine. Since you acknowledge your mistake, you can be the rag. Jiang Tian smashed Lao Hu's face against the glass, using his head to wipe away the grime. Much better, he chuckled coldly, having taught him a painful lesson. Jiang Tian slammed his skull against the metal again. Glancing at the fresh blood, he sneered. Now you've stained it with your pathetic blood. How will you clean this mess? Terrified, Lao Hu wept in submission. I'll clean it. I'll clean it all. He desperately began licking the crimson glass. Jiang Tian's piercing gaze shifted to Da Kai. Come here. You have exactly 1 second to justify your miserable life. Da Kai scrambled forward, crashing to his knees in utter despair. I was blind. My judgment was clouded by arrogance. I was a fool. Please show mercy. He pleaded pitifully, reaching out to beg at the master's feet. But Jiang Tian felt only disgust. A brutal kick sent Da Kai flying. He crashed violently into the dirt. You acted so invincible a moment ago, Jiang Tian mocked coldly. Where did all that supreme confidence go? Hoisting him by the throat, Jiang Tian unleashed a barrage of devastating slaps. Confess. What exactly are your sins? Trembling, Da Kai choked out his crimes. I was an arrogant tyrant. I ruled through sheer terror and oppression. I crushed innocent lives beneath my heel, pushing them into absolute despair. I truly regret my wicked ways. Please spare me. Another resounding slap echoed. Since you fully acknowledge the boundless suffering you've caused innocent people, why are you begging me for absolution? Da Kai's bloodshot eyes widened. He slowly turned his gaze toward Long Duyong. He crawled like a pathetic dog, clutching the old man's leg. Please do not stoop to my wretched level. Forgive my unforgivable sins against you. Lao Hu abandoned the glass and scrambled over. Dropping to his knees before Long Duyong, he desperately begged for mercy. Show us mercy. We will never cross your path again. Every single coin of your protection money will be refunded 10 times over. Just let me atone for this. Give me one more chance to live. Cao crawled forward too. Weeping bitterly, he confessed his absolute foolishness. Soon, the entire gang of thugs was kowtowing in supreme terror. Wang Xiao dragged his broken body toward Jiang Tian. Bowing his head, he cried out, "Have mercy, I am completely innocent. My brother orchestrated this entire disaster." A chilling smirk crossed Jiang Tian's face. "Did I ever say you were guilty?" Wang Xiao froze in sheer disbelief. "If I am innocent, why beat me half to death? This man is a total monster. The masterminds will sever their own hands," Jiang Tian decreed. "The followers will break their arms. Then you may crawl away alive. I will count to 3. Wang Xiao shrieked in terror. But the deadly countdown began regardless. "We were fools." Wang Xiao sobbed. "Please spare our pathetic lives." 3. The final number dropped like an executioner's blade. Lao Hu screamed for a pause. "This is my final grace," Jiang Tian warned. "Obey my exact command, or I will build a mountain from your severed heads." Absolute dread paralyzed the gangsters' souls. They were trapped in a nightmare. Suddenly, Wang Xiao spotted a discarded glass bottle. To survive this demon, a sacrifice was required. Grabbing the heavy bottle, he ruthlessly smashed it against his own arm. "This is absolute madness," Tao wailed in horror. The remaining thugs drew their weapons. Da Kai lifted his trembling blade high. With one desperate strike, he severed his own hand. Blood sprayed as the others followed suit. "You are dismissed," Jiang Tian announced coldly. His sister rushed over, eyes shining with awe. "You were magnificent. Let us go home now." But Zhu Qing interrupted their reunion. "I must speak with your brother," she insisted. Pulling Jiang Tian into the shadows, she crossed her arms with a serious expression. "I will be blunt," she whispered. "You vanished for years. You have absolutely no idea how this city has transformed. Let me warn you, this is Haiyang City. The true masters lurking in the shadows possess power far beyond your mortal comprehension. The Chen and Pu dynasties rule with an iron fist. They will hunt you down. A devastating reckoning is inevitable. Can a lone man topple 2 colossal titans? Why plunge Eden into such lethal danger? Yes, you saved her today. But for how long? A week? Your sudden return is a double-edged sword for her fate." She stared at him intensely. "Thank you for shielding my sister," Jiang Tian replied calmly. "But my absolute power transcends even the boundaries of heaven." As he walked away, she scoffed. "Blind arrogance. We shall see if your strength outlasts their relentless wrath." Escorting his family through the slums, Jiang Tian's heart grew extremely heavy. To think his beloved sister had suffered in this decaying wasteland all these years. Rusted pipes, filthy water, suffocating alleys. A crushing wave of immense guilt washed over him. Stepping inside, the misery deepened. The space was suffocatingly tiny, freezing concrete floors and the permanent stench of rotting dust. No sunlight, no fresh air. His precious sister was trapped in this miserable cage. The divine sister to the heavenly emperor, reduced to this absolute poverty. What an unforgivable disgrace upon his legendary name. Long Dukang bowed his head, apologizing to Jiang Tian for failing to protect his sister. Because she stayed by his side, she endured endless hardship. Jiang Tian stopped him immediately. To his family, this man was a savior. He deeply appreciated his sacrifice for daughter, her, forbidding any self-blame. Jiang Wang approached with 2 steaming mugs, warmly telling her brother to make himself right at home. Their place was modest, but incredibly warm. She urged him to drink the hot water and chase away the freezing chill. Sadly, no. Tea leaves remained to serve a proper guest. She hoped he wouldn't mock them. Sensing the mood, Long Dukang smiled, noting they had spent countless years apart. They surely had mountains of catching up to do. He offered them absolute privacy while he stepped away to wash his battered clothes. Jiang Tian firmly stopped him, noticing the fresh battle wounds. From his pocket, he produced a small wooden box, revealing a legendary medicinal ointment meant for severe combat trauma. He instructed him to apply it directly over the bruises for miraculous healing. This was actually a divine panacea crafted specifically by his supreme master back at that sacred mountain domain. Over the years, Jiang Tian had endured unimaginable torment in endless death matches, sustaining countless fatal strikes. Yet this miracle balm cured everything. Taking a seat, he finally looked at his sister, asking about Uncle Long's wife. Why was her presence missing? Jiang Wang's eyes darkened, revealing her mother succumbed to a tragic illness 8 long years ago. Since then, her father had been her sole protector and absolute anchor in this cruel world. Jiang Tian gently grasped her shoulder, vowing that he was finally back. She could trust him completely. Her days of endless fear were over. He promised them a glorious future, swearing that any soul daring to threaten them would face apocalyptic despair. Moments later, Jiang Tian's mind shifted to the treacherous Pu family. He vaguely remembered some military connections sharing that exact cursed surname. However, mercy was never in his vocabulary. They would soon experience his unyielding wrath in its purest form. Yet, this blazing fury paled against his demonic hatred for the absolute fool, who ruthlessly threw his helpless family into the cold streets, hunting them down to eradicate their existence. He swore to offer that bastard's flesh and blood as a grim sacrifice to his mother's spirit. 2 hours passed. Jiang Wang gently informed her father about visiting their aunt with her newly returned brother. He would remain behind for now. Nodding calmly, he told her to cast away her worries and deliver his warmest regards. But soon after they left, violent thugs completely shattered Long Dukang's peaceful home. One brutally demanded a staggering 5 million from him. How much longer would they stall for the cash? Unfazed, Long Dukang coldly asked if Lao Hu or Da Kai had actually ordered this absolute madness. He dared them to summon the bosses. Let those cowards demand the blood money to his face. He bitterly remembered his past immense wealth, lost entirely to a catastrophic land investment, forcing him into the clutches of these vile loan sharks. Yet, never in his wildest nightmares did he imagine his initial 100,000 loan exploding into a crushing 5 million debt in just 3 years. A vicious thug suddenly struck him, screaming about his absolute insolence. Did this trash really think he was worthy of seeing the underworld elders? Long Dukang didn't even blink at the brutal threat. Such overwhelming arrogance. Suddenly, a sharp ring pierced the tension. He glanced down, seeing Lao Hu's name flashing on screen. He quickly answered, reporting his current location at the debtor's house. The boss's response sent shockwaves. He was personally heading there right now. Hanging up, the thug pointed a mocking finger at Long Dukang, telling him to celebrate. He desperately wanted to meet the Supreme Elders. They were en route. He couldn't wait to watch the old man cry. Long Dukang calmly addressed Hong Ma, offering him one final chance for survival. Apologize now, and his sins would be forgiven. Otherwise, when Da Kai steps through that door, ultimate despair awaits. Infuriated, Hong Ma delivered another brutal blow, mocking his sheer delusion. How dare this absolute nobody use such an imposing tone? He fiercely drew a gleaming knife, deciding a bloody lesson in basic manners was strictly necessary. This disrespect could never happen in front of the approaching underworld kings, or they'd question his ruthless efficiency. He raised the deadly blade to strike, but suddenly, a panicked grunt yelled that the legendary elders had arrived. Hong Ma instantly commanded a path, eagerly rushing out to greet Da Kai, Lao Hu, and their terrifying entourage. Hong Ma immediately bowed to Da Kai. He maliciously reported that this delusional old fool had entirely lost his mind, practically viewing himself as untouchable royalty by so brazenly demanding an audience with the top brass. He was just about to carve a bloody lesson into him, forcefully dragging his ego back to the dirt. Unexpectedly, Da Kai savagely slapped Hong Ma across the face, roaring that he was a suicidal idiot. If he had left even a scratch, they would all be utterly erased. Thankfully, Da Kai had consulted Brother Yao about this monstrous Jiang, realizing the horrifying truth that provoking him meant instant annihilation. This apex predator had personally shattered both the first and second Grand Masters of the elite Chen family, before ruthlessly making the arrogant young master a permanent cripple. Lao Hu viciously kicked the trembling Hong Ma, cursing his boundless stupidity. What divine right did a lowly rat have to disrespect the revered Uncle Long? Lao Hu sweated profusely, knowing their absolute priority was smothering this disastrous incident before it truly exploded, trying to erase their tracks completely. Otherwise, heads would roll instead of just arms. Massaging his bruised face, the thoroughly terrified Hong Ma wondered what insane madness possessed his bosses. Were they completely poisoned by fear? Meanwhile, Da Kai respectfully approached Long Dukang, nervously stammering about the so-called loan, the company contract he signed. He bowed deeply, claiming he was simply too busy and missed the glaring error. Initially, it was a standard loan, but now, he declared the debt completely forgiven. They had committed a grave sin against him. Pointing a trembling finger at Hong Mao, he roared that this rat had secretly altered Mr. Long's contract right under his nose, and the absolute audacity to extort 5 million. Did he have a death wish? The boss aggressively proclaimed that their syndicate was built on absolute honor and justice. He despised thugs who brought filthy street tactics into legitimate business. Hong Mao was paralyzed with shock. What the hell was this? What unseen terror broke his boss? Another brutal strike sent him crashing down. Lao Dai commanded him to beg Uncle Long for mercy. Trembling, Hong Mao crawled forward, sobbing desperate apologies. He admitted his pathetic ignorance, wailing that his eyes were utterly useless for provoking him. He pleaded for just a shred of mercy. Without hesitation, Long Du-yong delivered a resounding slap. As the thug continued to grovel, Long Du-yong clenched his trembling fists. For an entire agonizing year, this vermin had made his life a living hell. But finally, the suffocating weight was gone. Moments later, Lao Dai presented a massive steel briefcase brimming with cash, offering it as humble tribute for the previous day's disrespect. Internally, the mob boss was bleeding dry, cursing his terrible fate. 2 million for a single plate of fried lamb. That absurd fortune could feed an entire province for years. His soul wept. Long Du-yang forcefully slammed the briefcase shut. The boss's sins were severe, but the debt had been paid in blood. He flatly refused the overwhelming fortune. Desperate to appease this terrifying force, Lao Dai nervously suggested passing the tribute directly to Mr. Jiang. Long Du-yong firmly declined, offering only to provide the Supreme Master's current location instead. Bowing with eternal gratitude, Lao Dai practically begged him to keep 20,000 yuan, a meager offering to repair the ruined dining stall, the shattered tables, and the stolen meal. Meanwhile, across the city, the legendary Jiang Chen and his sister stepped out at their aunt's humble residence. Approaching the courtyard, a sickening scene unfolded before their eyes. Vicious brats were beating a helpless boy with sticks. They mocked his wild nature, cruelly declaring him an outcast unfit for their games. Another bully sneered, violently commanding the poor child to stay away forever. Burning with fierce protective fury, Zhang Wan demanded they stop. The little demons scattered like roaches, giggling maliciously as one brat yelled to flee from the scary older sister. The battered boy collapsed in tears, innocently crying out for a simple sweet treat. Heartbroken, Jiang Wan revealed this was little Zhang, their aunt's precious son. She knelt softly in the dirt, trying to introduce him to his legendary cousin. But the traumatized boy flinched, hiding away. Pain shadowed Jiang Wan's eyes as she asked if this tragic fate was their uncle's doing. Jiang Chen's aura darkened. Shortly after birth, their aunt discovered his devastating developmental challenges. Upon discovering this heavy truth, their cruel uncle ruthlessly abandoned his own flesh and blood to rot. Shortly after discarding them, he shamelessly latched onto a wealthy clan, securing a highly profitable marriage. Decades passed, yet that absolute scumbag never once visited his crippled son or offered a single copper. Their desperate aunt dragged the boy across every elite hospital nationwide. She practically lived in the wards. Despite zero miraculous improvements, her fierce motherly spirit never wavered, battling fate all alone for years. Jiang Chen's aura darkened with rage. Even back then, that repulsive man never possessed the gentle warmth of a husband, let alone a true father. Later, when their mother relocated them to Hedong, seeking family refuge to aid her suffering sister, they were met with absolute hostility from that garbage human. He simply couldn't fathom his uncle's supreme villainy. Just another worthless parasite, casting his family into the abyss without a second thought. Crossing the threshold, Jiang Wan called out with tender concern. Stepping into the gloomy depths of the house and into the bedroom, Jiang Chen observed the devastating poverty. A lone warrior carrying a broken child, it was the absolute peak of mortal suffering. The frail aunt offered a weak smile, violently coughing as Jiang Wan panicked about her health. Brushing it off, she insisted it was merely a passing chill, easily cured with some rest. But then, her tired eyes locked onto the tall figure. Gently grasping her weathered hand, Jiang Chen whispered softly that her troublesome nephew had finally come home. Shock paralyzed her entire being. Trembling violently, she reached out to trace his features. A decade of agonizing waiting, yet her faith had never shattered. Wiping away joyous tears, she silenced his apologies. She just needed to look at him. The boy had forged himself into a towering man, a warrior brimming with vitality. Her heart soared with absolute pride. Taking her place at the bedside, Jiang Wan softly memories surfaced of their grand estate, a majestic two-story mansion, sprawling over 500 square meters. Following the demolition sale, she purchased 6 luxurious properties of 150 square meters each. So why was she now trapped in this pathetic, cramped apartment? Bitterness laced his aunt's voice. That foolish trash had ruined everything, completely blind to the brutal real estate game. While she desperately fought for her health, that bastard ruthlessly seized their assets, squandering their hard-earned wealth. The remaining mansion funds vanished into legal fees, leaving her absolutely destitute. A devastating betrayal. Forced into this rundown shack with Jiang Guang, daily survival became a nightmare. Medical bills drained their final pennies. Jiang Chen's eyes narrowed dangerously. Weren't those premium properties legally bound to her name? How did that brainless fool interfere? His frown deepened. Those estates sat on priceless national historical ground. Their absolute worth rivaled the legendary Longdu courtyards. easily valued at over 100 million yuan. A violent coughing fit shook his aunt. Jiang Guang desperately soothed her trembling back. Wheezing, she revealed the dark truth. That useless wretch had partnered with the Pu family's corrupt construction empire. Masters of deception, they shamelessly forged legal documents to swallow her properties whole, claiming strict building restrictions. They manipulated the lease agreements, transferring everything directly into the Pu family's greedy hands. A dark shadow crossed Jiang Chen's face. When his mother died years ago, his aunt reigned as a city elite. Then the devastating fall began. Yet even a starving camel remains far larger than a mere horse. Two powerful women, stripped of their empires by absolute fools, their ancestral home was devoured by the Chen family, and her estate stolen by the Pu clan. Calmly peeling an apple, he softly ordered his aunt to rest. He would handle this. That bastard and the entire Pu bloodline would pay in blood. He offered her the fruit. Suddenly, a sharp knock shattered the silence. A man swaggered in. His aunt's face lit up, welcoming Brother Chang. She eagerly introduced him. This was the Zhang family's young master, a rare ally in their desperate struggle. Zhang Chang sneered at Jiang Chen. Was this Jiang Guang's infamous brother? Barely looking like a fresh graduate. Curious about his formidable physique, he scoffed. Jiang Chen simply smirked, ignoring the trash, checking on his aunt's comfort instead. She nodded enthusiastically. Despite the misery, Brother Chang's generous protection made life somewhat bearable. Furious at being ignored, Zhang Cheng's aura darkened, calling him an arrogant brat relying on the Chen name. He warned the young man that there were always higher mountains and stronger dragons in this vast world. Dreams might reach the heavens, but mortal feet remained firmly on the dirt. He demanded Jiang Chen drop his arrogant attitude. It was time to wake up, face brutal reality, and desperately secure a stable future. Pumping his chest, he bragged. He was an executive at Zhonghao, lords of the prestigious Jiangxi restaurant empire. Flexing his pathetic authority, he offered a handout. Come interview tomorrow. He'd generously grant him a petty managerial role, a mere staff supervisor position. Jiang Chen coldly rejected the pitiful offer. Zhang Cheng's face twisted in absolute fury. Disgusting pride. Didn't this fool realize their empire would soon dominate the region's top 3 culinary syndicates? He barked a final warning to reconsider. That low-level manager spot was highly coveted by mere commoners. Countless desperate souls would kill for a chance to kiss his family's boots. Anxious, his aunt pleaded. Unemployed and newly returned, why not accept? Jiang Chen calmly stated he already had business. Business that he thoroughly enjoyed. Zhang Chang burst into mocking laughter. Flipping burgers, perhaps. How pathetically dedicated. He arrogantly demanded Jiang Chen quit immediately and serve under his magnificent banner. He wouldn't regret it. For a naive fresh graduate, serving the Zhang family would be the ultimate starting point. A glorious shortcut to the second stage of society. Jiang Chen treated his words like empty wind, gently offering his aunt a glass of water. He completely dismissed the young master. Zhang Cheng's ego shattered in rage. How dare this trash ignore his supreme generosity? Fine, let him rot. Suddenly, another violent knock echoed. Zhang Sai kicked the door open, smirking at the crowded room. His aunt's face drained of color, demanding why this monster was here, screaming for him to leave her sanctuary immediately. Trembling, Jiang Guang whispered the grim reality to Jiang Chen. This was Jiang Cheng's ruthless brother, a vicious tyrant who lived to crush the weak beneath his heavy heel. An absolute overlord in these slums. Provoking him meant surrendering their last shred of peaceful existence. With a wicked sneer, Zhang Sai demanded they sell the shack. How dare he? His aunt shrieked. Zhang Sai just chuckled darkly. Is he brainless? She chases false miracles from greedy doctors. Yet, she lacks the very coins to afford their empty promises. How could she ever buy this shack? The pitiful cost perfectly matches this rotten dump. Little Wang charged in, branding him a wicked villain. He screamed for the cruel intruder to vanish from their precious sanctuary forever. Zhang Sai ruthlessly struck the boy down. As tears spilled, Jiang Tian coldly commanded the brute to hold his ground. He soothed the weeping child. Burning with maternal fury, the aunt tried to shout, but a violent cough seized her lungs. Jiang Tian locked his deadly gaze upon the attacker. Trembling, Zhang Cheng warned him not to ignite a deadly blood feud. Desperate, Zhang Cheng begged his brother to show mercy. Was this ruthless extortion truly necessary before these fragile souls? A vicious slap silenced him. Zhang Sai mocked the fool, demanding absolute submission to his terrifying absolute authority. Wealthy vultures await to claim this land. The final judgment shall be delivered this very second. Surrender peacefully, or face complete destruction. Shocked by the betrayal, Zhang Chang collapsed in utter disbelief at this cruelty. Blindsided by Qin. Spitting with venomous disgust, the tyrant declared his own flesh and blood to be worthless garbage. He spun around, only to meet an immovable mountain. Zhang Tian blocked his path, demanding everyone witness this reckoning. A mere mutt defying a god. Jiang Tian echoed the insult. Spewing vile arrogance, the arrogant noble confirmed his foul decree. Calling him a pathetic pest, he promised total annihilation if this lowly peasant dared to block his supreme path. He unleashed a lethal punch. Yet, like a phantom, Jiang Tian evaded, causing the brute's fist to shatter the solid timber. Howling in agony, the attacker crumpled instantly. Showing supreme grace, Jiang Tian spared the pathetic worm, claiming a generous mood. He mercifully ordered the wretch to patch his broken bones, crawl into his fancy vehicle, and vanish into the shadows forever. A wicked blade flashed. Trembling with rage, the villain dared this arrogant upstart to test his lethal steel edge. Panic seized the ant's heart. Yet, to Jiang Tian, this armed menace appeared as nothing but a petulant, spoiled infant, a sheltered prince used to absolute victory. He could never accept defeat. Sadly, today, he crossed paths with a true monster. Blinded by greed, he completely lacked the martial wisdom to recognize a hopelessly unwinnable battlefield. With supernatural ease, Jiang Tian deflected the deadly thrust. A thunderous slap sent the arrogant fool flying through the air, smashing right through the wooden door. Spitting blood, he invoked the terrifying legendary prestige of the almighty Zhang lineage. Kneel and survive, otherwise absolute death awaits. In chilling response, the Supreme Master merely flicked his wrist with utter disdain. Invisible force slammed the tyrant onto the hard concrete. Scrambling up, he swore a horrifying vengeance upon this fearless interloper. A single phone call to Keelan would unleash hell. Awed, Zhang Chang admired the terrifying, untamed ferocity of this mysterious stranger. Yet, his aura remained absolute zero. He stood like an ancient, mythical oak tree, radiating unfathomable, legendary martial power. The terrified elder begged the master to flee with the girl immediately. That cruel tyrant would never let this massive humiliation slide. An army of underworld thugs would surely descend. Calmly carving fruit, Jiang Tian softly assured her peace was absolutely guaranteed. Such garbage meant zero, even accompanied by thousands of men. Shocked by this godlike confidence, Zhang Chang violently coughed up his drink. He urged a tactical retreat before a tragic massacre. Clever parlor tricks would not survive a true gang warfare bloodbath. A lone apex lion cannot slaughter a starving wolf pack. Despite deeply desiring to shield this brave, heroic young man, the overwhelming danger made rescue practically impossible. He begged forgiveness for his brother's incredibly savage, violently unstable mental defects. Their bloodlines shared nothing else. That villain thrived on pure bloody violence, deeply entangled with the city's most lethal shadow syndicates. A haughty Han family heir once unknowingly slighted him. Retribution came swiftly, completely shattering the poor aristocrat's fragile bones. Plunging violently into the freezing river depths. Ignoring these cowardly tales, Jiang Tian issued a stunning 72-hour divine prophecy. The corrupt syndicate shall fully restore their stolen lands, refund every single destroyed brick, and pay heavy blood interest. Chuckling darkly, the bystander questioned this suicidal absolute madness. Did he truly grasp the terrifying scale of this monstrous organization? A titanic empire governed by 3 absolute legendary sovereign clans. The mighty Pu dynasty commands limitless industrial power everywhere, dominating Earth and vast oceans. The Chen faction controls international commerce, allied with foreign financial titans across the globe. The Shangguan network snakes through the entire nation's core. They are undisputed gods, while commoners exist merely as worthless dust. But fear not. This pathetic shack hides his foolish bravado. He may safely bark his empty, utterly delusional fantasies forever. Spew any nonsense desired. Meanwhile, as little Wang innocently watched the streets, a lethal projectile suddenly screamed through the air. Shattering glass exploded. The heavy stone struck the boy's fragile skull, instantly dropping his small frame onto the cold floor. Chaos erupted instantly. Sprinting toward the bleeding innocent child, the Supreme Master glared out the shattered window, sensing impending slaughter. Down in the courtyard, the ruthless gang waited. Zhangyi sneered at Jiang Chan, mocking him as a reckless fool for daring to return. Why hesitate? He dared him to descend and face the consequences of his defiance, or else they would gladly drag him down themselves. Trembling, the aunt begged Jiang Chan to stay hidden, terrified the massive mob would slaughter him. But Jiang Wang simply told our hero that these thugs needed a brutal wake-up call. With cold confidence, Jiang Chan promised the frightened woman that she had absolutely nothing to fear. Without a moment of hesitation, he leaped from the high window, slamming onto the pavement before the startled bandits. Slowly, he rose to his feet, a towering powerhouse shoved through the ranks. Zhangyi groveled instantly, calling out to his mighty big brother. Pointing a trembling finger at our hero, he whined that this was the very monster who humiliated him and blocked their territory takeover. He barked that this pathetic puppy was about to witness true despair. The infamous elder brother Ba was a legendary master at crushing human bones, and he would make him beg for death. Brother Ba scoffed, glaring at Jiang Chan like he was looking at filthy garbage ready for the incinerator. How dare this nobody stand in his path? His blood boiled at the sheer audacity of these arrogant rookies who thought they could defy the terrifying Savannah gang. No matter how many corpses they made, fools kept swarming like flies. Smirking, he commanded his underlings to show mercy and only shatter one of his arms today. After all, his true purpose here was entirely different. A legendary leader was arriving, and he needed to secure his supreme favor. They simply could not afford to waste a single second. Glancing at his cracked screen, he realized the ultimate boss was already closing in on their location. This street trash was no longer worth his precious time. Suddenly, the lackey pointed a mocking finger right at our hero and laughed, asking if Brother Ba's overwhelming aura had completely paralyzed him. He stood utterly frozen in silence. Truly, he was just another spineless bug meant to be crushed. With ice in his eyes, Jiang Chan finally spoke, asking if they were purposely begging for early graves. A roaring thug launched himself forward, demanding the kid surrender to a clean snap of his bones. If he resisted, they would eagerly torture him until nothing but dust remained. In a flash, Jiang Chan delivered a devastating blow, sending him crashing into the dirt. Furious, the gang leader ordered his entire squad to obliterate him and drag down his allies. Our protagonist just stared down at a dropped steel baton with lethal intent. Kicking the weapon high into the air, he blasted it forward like a cannonball. The crushing impact launched multiple thugs straight to the concrete with shattered ribs. Jiang Chan coldly demanded to know who had dared to throw the brick. Trembling, the lackey screamed that this madman was an absolute demon. Annoyed, Brother Ba glared at the chaos, wondering how a single punk could cause such an infuriating mess. The remaining bloodthirsty thugs charged like wild beasts while the spectators gasped from above. The aunt cried out in pure terror, certain that her brave nephew was marching to his death. An onlooker sneered that the arrogant fool was about to pay for disrespecting the legendary Savannah leopard. No gods could save him now. Suddenly, a vicious assassin lunged at our hero's throat with a gleaming blade. But with terrifying speed, Jiang Chan crushed his jaw, spinning instantly to shatter a second attacker's skull. Like a phantom, he vanished from their sight, weaving through fatal strikes. Twin blades slashed through the empty air as our hero vaulted effortlessly above their heads, unleashing a devastating tornado kick. The overwhelming shockwave blasted the goons away like ragdolls. The second his boots hit the ground, a brute swung a heavy bat, but a lightning-fast counterstrike sent him eating the dust. Another desperate thug charged forward with a jagged dagger, aiming for the heart, but our hero simply locked onto his wrist, slamming his entire body into the unforgiving earth, tossing him away like garbage. Brother Ba's jaw dropped in sheer disbelief. What kind of mortal possessed such monstrous power? He had severely miscalculated. Brushing dust from his shoulders, Jiang Chan repeated his chilling question. Who threw the damn brick? The lackey choked on his words, until the cowardly boss Ba eagerly pointed a finger right at his own subordinate. Desperate to save his own miserable skin, Zhangyi threw up his hands, begging for mercy and crying that it was just a giant misunderstanding. But Jiang Chan showed zero hesitation, striking with explosive force. The sniveling coward collapsed, vomiting thick blood onto the pavement. In a blur of absolute martial mastery, our hero violently shattered his enemy's limbs. As the broken man wailed in pure agony, Jiang Chan locked his dead eyes onto Boss Ba with a new, chilling question. Were they allies? Because only a sworn partner would order a hit like that. Sweating bullets, the mighty leopard frantically waved his arms, denying absolutely everything and swearing he had never seen that trash before. Suddenly, his phone vibrated and he desperately answered his boss. The dark voice chuckled, asking if he had finally finished exterminating that tiny neighborhood rat. The big man gulped, his pride shattering as he confessed total failure. He had crashed headfirst into an impenetrable iron fortress, and his entire squad was bleeding out. The furious boss growled through the speaker. Did some suicidal fool actually dare to slaughter his precious subordinates in broad daylight? No matter. He commanded them to hold the line. He was arriving at lightning speed, ready to obliterate this arrogant obstacle into pure dust. A twisted grin crept onto Boss Ba's face as he warned our hero that his legendary elder brother was coming to end his life. The fool would soon witness the Savannah gang's devastating wrath. But hey, this thug felt surprisingly merciful today. Everyone makes mistakes, right? So, he graciously offered this arrogant brat one final chance to grovel, apologize, and he would even buy him a stiff drink. Stepping closer, he smirked. Well, what is his answer? Wasn't he being generous enough? In a flash, Jiang Tian's palm connected. The thug crashed violently against the dirt. Crouching down, Jiang Tian's eyes shone with chilling indifference. To him, the legendary Savannah gang were mere helpless kittens. Blind, weak, and pathetically noisy. Yet, this miserable thug wore their gang's name like a badge of absolute honor. Bored out of his mind, the invincible aura faded. He strolled back inside to wait for the real entertainment upstairs. Brother Boss spat blood. This arrogant brat could play tough, but he would soon taste true underworld terror. His big brothers were coming. Upstairs, Jiang Cheng was practically tearing his hair out. What absolute madness was this? Why provoke the infamous Brother Ba? This catastrophic blunder meant the ruthless White Tiger Syndicate would hunt them down. This connected straight to Wang Shu, Tiandu's untouchable elite, and the majestic Tiandu Hotel belonged to the terrifying Chen family. Led by the legendary executioner Chen Badao, that man practically owned the entire Hedong region with an iron fist. Worse still, his own brother was allied with the Chen clan. This reckless act was a direct declaration of war. They had officially crossed the point of no return. Only the clan elders could possibly halt this looming bloodbath. His aunt frantically nodded. Thank heavens for his noble status. Surely, the esteemed elders could erase this fatal mistake. They needed a peaceful miracle. Jiang Cheng gritted his teeth, promising to leverage every ounce of his precious influence. Dialing with trembling fingers, he greeted the powerful elder. He masked his panic, politely asking about their recent ventures. After countless desperate apologies, the line finally clicked. He turned to his terrified aunt. The elder had agreed to intervene, but the price was total humiliation. Jiang Tian must crawl down there, bow to those gangsters, and beg for mercy. It was their sole lifeline. Yet Jiang Tian remained dead silent. Jiang Cheng snapped, demanding he swallow his worthless pride. Just obey and follow him down. Making underworld bosses wait was suicide, but forcing them upstairs meant guaranteed death. Jiang Tian merely scoffed. He had clearly ordered that pathetic kitten to bring the whole litter up when they arrived. Jiang Cheng's soul practically left his body. Was he suicidal? Could he not see the towering mountain of death approaching? They were going to be slaughtered. He spun toward his aunt, screaming if she witnessed this apocalyptic level of stupidity. If they did not surrender immediately, the gang would mercilessly butcher every single friend and family member they had. Suddenly, heavy footsteps echoed. Brother Ba's malicious voice pierced the door, eagerly leading his terrifying bosses straight to their prey. Boom! Da Hai shattered the heavy door. He roared, demanding to see the absolute lunatic who dared insult his brother. Brother Ba sneered wickedly. The arrogant brat was about to face divine punishment. Da Hai stomped aggressively toward Jiang Cheng. Panicking, Jiang Cheng waved his hands wildly. Cowering like a rat, he frantically pointed straight at the unfazed Jiang Tian. Slowly rising from his seat, Jiang Tian radiated an overwhelming aura. Were these insignificant bugs finally looking for him? He casually bit into an apple. Smirking, he mocked them for actually climbing the stairs and saving him a trip. Da Hai and Lao Hu instantly froze in absolute horror. Unaware, Brother Ba continued barking, ordering Jiang Tian to grovel. Seeking approval, he mocked the boy's fatal mistake. Nobody disrespected their mighty brotherhood and lived to see another dawn. They would drag him out and teach him ultimate despair. Suddenly, a violently trembling Da Hai mercilessly slapped Brother Ba. Holding his swollen cheek, the thug whined in confusion. Da Hai struck him again, his voice cracking with pure terror. Lord Jiang was an untouchable god within the underworld. How dare this lowly scum disrespect a supreme existence? Had he lost his mind? Threatening to feed him to the hounds, Da Hai's eyes burned with murderous intent. Brother Ba's blood ran completely cold. Was this the legendary demon who crippled his superiors yesterday? Why did fate deliver him to the exact same monster? The Grim Reaper was practically breathing down his neck. Desperate to survive, he cried to his bosses, frantically begging for mercy. He violently seized Jiang Cheng's hair, slamming the coward into the floor. He shrieked that this fool orchestrated the entire disaster. Please, Lord Jiang, show mercy. Dropping heavily to his knees, he violently smashed his forehead against the floor in pure regret. He was blind and failed to recognize Mount Tai itself. He foolishly tried to strike a god descending from heaven. Crying, he prayed for a sliver of undeserved forgiveness. Following suit, the almighty bosses Da Hai and Lao Hu immediately knelt. Da Hai frantically offered the debt money, begging for their pathetic lives. They even added a massive fortune on top. Offering 2 heavy checks, they kissed the floor. Jiang Cheng's mind utterly shattered. 10 million. His entire worldview just collapsed. 10,000 a month, plus rare bonuses. He would have to starve for 100 years to save that much. Jiang Chen saw the man still had some common sense left. Leave the cash on the table, and you may leave, along with my ultimate gratitude for looking after my family. Trembling, Da Hai slammed the receipts down on the table. No need for thanks, he stammered. It was nothing at all. They scrambled for the exit, desperate to escape his terrifying presence. As evening fell, the whole family gathered for a warm dinner. Jiang Chen pulled out a massive $10 million check, ready to divide it. $6 million for auntie, then $5 million for second uncle. His aunt gasped in absolute shock. This is far too much money. You have already done far too much for us. But Jiang Wen gently squeezed her hand, shaking her head. Please do not refuse, auntie. Your son desperately needs this money for his medical treatment. Long Dukang's eyes welled with tears as he accepted the wealth. I do not deserve this, he choked out. I failed as a worthy father. But I swear to become a better man, and multiply this wealth for our family, no matter the bitter storm raging outside. And regardless of his empty pockets, the profound, soul-deep warmth at this dinner table was worth more than all the gold in the heavens. Armed with these 5 million, he vowed to return to the mountains and rebuild his fallen empire. In his reckless, ambitious past, he chased rapid growth through dangerous gambles. Placing his absolute trust in venomous snakes, he had lost his entire life's work overnight. He never tasted true victory, yet even in complete ruin, the burning ambition never left his shattered soul. Give me exactly 3 years, he declared fiercely. I will repay this 5 million tenfold, maybe even more. I have complete faith in your success, uncle. Jiang Chen smiled warmly. Suddenly, he reached deep into his inner pocket. Pulling out his vibrating phone, a sinister voice hissed, "Are you the freak getting in my way?" Jiang Chen instantly recognized Pu Xiao's arrogant tone. Lounging like a corrupted king among beautiful girls, the caller chuckled darkly. Do you have a death wish, fighting against my absolute authority, yet still persisting to ruin my divine plans? I almost respect your foolish courage, but no more. I am an incredibly busy man, so listen closely. Crawl to my feet and beg for mercy for your reckless actions. Trust me, you would rather come willingly than have me hunt you down like a dog. Jiang Chen's voice turned to absolute ice. Set an appointment. Pu Xiao cackled with wicked amusement. You are a bold one. Tomorrow at exactly 12 o'clock, Xing'an District. Do not dare be late. And a friendly warning. If you cowardly decide to run, the bloody consequences will be utterly catastrophic. The line abruptly died. A towering henchman approached the young master, completely baffled. Boss, why waste your precious breath calling him personally? Why not just unleash the street thugs from the wide road to break his bones and bury him, and then violently kidnap his little sister? Pu Xiao smirked, his eyes gleaming with sheer malice. You lack vision. This is pure entertainment. It is incredibly rare to find such an arrogant fool. I want to witness this hero with 3 heads and 6 arms. With a vicious squeeze, his glass shattered into 100 jagged pieces. Meanwhile, a sharp knock echoed through Auntie's modest home. The month is over. Here is your salary. Startled, Auntie quickly apologized and hurried downstairs to collect her hard-earned money. Stepping into the crisp air, she found a smug manager and a sneering young woman. He lazily tossed a thin envelope her way. Auntie anxiously counted the bills, her face falling. Wait, this is not enough. Why are $210 missing? My base salary is $15,000. The manager rolled his eyes with a vile sneer. Are you really that stupid? Did you think taking sick days meant you get paid like you actually worked? Plus, we slashed a massive chunk for your incomplete monthly hours. So you have absolutely no right to blame us. He shared a mocking grin with the vicious girl beside him. She scoffed loudly. Your work is complete garbage anyway, the girl spat venomously. Yet you still dare to argue. Auntie stood her ground, trembling with righteous fury. Company policy clearly states that valid medical leave protects our wages, so why have I been brutally penalized twice? The girl's face twisted in ugly, burning rage. Are you accusing us of stealing your pathetic scraps of money? If you feel so wronged, go ahead and sue the company. There are countless desperate people waiting, and unlike you, they are terrified of starving. Swallow your pride and take what we give, or find yourself completely unemployed by tomorrow's sunrise. You tyrants are crossing the line. Auntie cried out fiercely. You are violating every single company rule. The manager sneered, a venomous threat in his cold eyes. Shut your mouth, take the cash, and do your job. Be grateful you get anything at all. A chilling aura descended. I absolutely despise greedy jackals, who bleed the innocent to line their own filthy pockets. So I will give you exactly 1 chance to repent. The manager spun around furiously. Which suicidal idiot dares to lecture me from the shadows? Turning, his eyes locked onto Jiang Chen's mountain-like presence. Jiang Wan and Long Dukang stood firmly right beside him. The manager's shock morphed into a vile smirk. Isn't this the washed-up loser, Long Dukang? And this little punk is your friend? Just a pathetic cluster of poverty-stricken trash. You worthless rats really should mind your own business. Mind your own business and get lost, or else. But his arrogant threat is brutally cut short. Dokai delivers a devastating backhand to his face. He roars at the fool for disrespecting such an exalted lord. The manager collapses, absolutely shattered by the sheer force of the strike. Dokai immediately bows deeply to Jiang Tian, explaining he was waiting behind the hedges when he heard this rabid mutt barking way too loudly. As the boss, he simply had to discipline his disobedient dog. The stunned girl screams, "Who do you think you are, striking Mr. Goreng?" Dokai responds with a ruthless slap to her face. The trembling manager struggles up, stammering. The girl freezes in absolute terror. Could this towering figure actually be their company's major shareholder, Mr. Dokai? His voice drips with venom as he exposes their wage theft. The company officially pays its cleaners $2,500 monthly. Yet these greedy parasites steal almost half of that. He respectfully asks Jiang Tian how to dispose of these absolute fools. The bleeding manager begs for mercy, claiming it is just a minor mistake and certainly not the end of the world. He even dares to shift the blame onto Mr. Dokai. Jiang Tian answers with a bone-crushing kick to the head. The pathetic fool crashes into the dirt with a sickening thud. Jiang Tian coldly mocks Dokai for failing to control his biting hounds. "It is laughable that you rule the savannah underworld," he scoffs. Dokai falls to his knees in sheer panic, vehemently denying it. "These mongrels must have caught a rabid disease," he cries. "Since they dare offend you, I will put them down permanently." He promises to purge the entire corporate structure of this rot. Jiang Tian turns to his aunt, gently leaving the ultimate judgment in her hands. Their fate rests entirely on her word. The desperate manager grovels at her feet, pleading for a single drop of mercy for their foolish mistakes. He begs for one final chance to repent. The kind-hearted aunt sighs, stating her hatred for violence and agreeing to spare their miserable lives. However, she demands complete financial justice for all the hardworking staff. Dokai quickly bows, assuring her that absolute retribution will be delivered. These greedy parasites are guilty of massive embezzlement, illegal trespassing, and likely hiding even darker corporate sins. Their path leads straight to complete ruin. Meanwhile, in a quiet estate, Wen Qingyan observes that the immediate storm has finally passed. He desperately seeks updates on the investigation. Who exactly is this terrifyingly powerful youth, and where has he vanished to? Their alliance with the Chen family completely shattered the moment that mysterious boy crippled their arrogant young master at the Grand Hotel. Shang Guanning has returned from overseas, and the tyrannical Chen Badao arrives shortly. Once those formidable monsters finally reunite, they will ruthlessly annihilate the Wen family, combined with ancient enemies lurking in the shadows. This creeping doom could signify their absolute destruction. It sounds utterly absurd, yet the only existence capable of saving their entire bloodline from this impending massacre is a mere 18-year-old boy. Wen Zhu rushes in, urging her father to examine a newly acquired photograph. Her father frowns. Heavens! Is he truly the legendary Chen Bao's lost son? She nods, realizing why he appeared at the sacred graveyard that fateful day, and ruthlessly crushed those Shangguan thugs for daring to desecrate the tomb. Wen Qingyan downs his liquor, laughing at fate's twisted irony. Now their family and Bao's fearsome heir share the exact same battlefield against Badao. Wen Zhu softly murmurs, still reeling from absolute disbelief. That brother Zhang completely failed to recognize her back then. But how could he forget? They had shared their entire childhood together. He even saved their lives 3 years ago. Yet at the hotel, his cold eyes looked at them like complete and utter strangers. Her father sighs heavily. That boy must have walked through pure hell during his 10 long years in exile. Otherwise, crushing 2 grandmasters with such casual ease would be utterly impossible. We cannot blame his frozen heart. He likely had to sever all mortal ties, sacrificing love and kinship just to ascend to such terrifying peaks of martial power. The martial world is littered with such tragedies. Cultivators who abandoned everything, committed grave sins, and turned their backs on the ones they cherished. Fools who threw away their humanity to grasp ultimate supremacy, yet only a miraculous fraction ever conquer the heavens and stand at the very pinnacle. Destiny is notoriously unpredictable. He studies his daughter's flushed face with a knowing smirk. It seems that fierce little boy still occupies a special place in your heart. Perhaps we should hire him as your personal shadow guard, or at least request some intimate self-defense tutoring. A deep crimson flush explodes across Wen Zhu's cheeks. Father, what nonsense are you saying? She flees the room, absolutely mortified by his teasing. Yet, her father is right. Meeting him again has violently ignited strange, heart-fluttering emotions within her. Meanwhile, within the opulent Chen estate, the crippled Chen heading lies broken, begging his mother for bloody vengeance. Shang Guanning stares at his ruined body in sheer horror. Murderous fury erupts from her soul. She screams at Chen Badao, cursing his immense power since this devastating tragedy is entirely his fault. She shatters a priceless vase in blind rage. We should have incinerated that rotten bloodline down to its very roots to prevent today's catastrophe. Had you ruthlessly purged them back then, we wouldn't be paying this catastrophic blood debt, and my precious son wouldn't be lying here paralyzed. And the arrogant Wen family actually chose that wretched street rat over us. This vengeful mother will absolutely tear them to pieces. Suddenly, the suffocating aura of the Chen family elder, Chen Taiwang, fills the room. Shang Wenning turns, furiously questioning her formidable uncle's sudden arrival. This elder thinks his voice holds immense weight, but he always cowers before any real brewing storm. And thanks to this spineless fossil, her own rise to ultimate family power remains completely blocked. Chen Takwang barks that her past reckless arrogance doomed his grandson. He knows for a fact that Jiang Tian orchestrated this absolutely brutal fate. The boy was utterly defenseless. Not only were his legs completely shattered, but they awakened a truly terrifying and monstrous enemy. He knew Luoman was a formidable martial master for years, yet he was absolutely crushed. It is painfully clear this opposing party possesses overwhelming, monstrous strength. Worse, the mastermind's backing remains a mystery. Their prestigious Chen family absolutely cannot survive provoking such wrath. He repeatedly warned the boy to stay grounded, to swallow his pride and tread carefully with his arrogant words and his reckless actions. They boast of business genius and endless wealth, arrogantly claiming their mighty family was completely untouchable by any brave soul. Yet now, the sheer terror associated with their name is fading. Fury explodes in Shangguan Nalan's eyes as she viciously slaps the elder's face. She spits that this useless relic has achieved absolutely nothing of value. She is utterly sick of his cowardly barking. His entire existence revolves around trembling in absolute fear of stronger opponents. But to secure her family's absolute supremacy, she would gladly execute this useless coward with her very own hands and wage absolute war against the world. Chen Takwang freezes in absolute shock, roaring if she actually dared to physically strike a patriarch. She has completely lost her mind, inheriting her late father's absolute madness. He screams for the guards to drag this lunatic out and seal the heavy doors. But as he spins around, the heavily armed guards remain frozen like statues. He furiously roars, demanding if they have all gone completely deaf. Shangguan Nalan coldly questions his delusions of grandeur. She only addresses him as uncle out of hollow respect for his fading aristocratic bloodline. But in her ruthless eyes, he is nothing more than a crippled hound, a broken beast that should have been put down ages ago. His legendary title and hollow status mean absolutely nothing now. His authority is dead, and true conquerors must seize absolute power without ever letting go. He has clung to life so desperately he almost seems immortal. Yet, with every passing year, this coward buries his trembling head deeper into the dirt, praying that dangerous enemies will simply ignore him, and this pathetic cowardice enrages her. Chen Takwang violently spits, demanding to know how she dares cross lines. Another brutal slap echoes through the hall. She screams that her precious family was violently crippled, yet he cowardly commands them to swallow the bitter humiliation. Worse, he dares to blame her for failing to raise the heir properly. How can this spineless rat claim the proud blood of the Chen family? Coughing violently, Chen Takwang snarls that she must never forget his supreme status. He remains a foundational pillar of this truly illustrious household. He is the supreme leader's uncle. He curses her as a spoiled fool, screaming that her reckless fury will burn their entire empire to ashes. Shangguan Nalan coldly levels a loaded gun straight at his head. If she destroys the family, she will happily start by erasing him completely. The fatal gunshot shatters the room, ending his miserable life. There is no turning back now. Where is Chen Lao now? Has he finally returned from his mysterious journey? A trembling subordinate reports his arrival is delayed until next week. Shangguan Nalan smirks, viewing him as nothing more than helpless prey. She will grant him 1 extra week of life. It means absolutely nothing what monstrous power Jiang cultivated during his 10-year exile. If that demon dares to seek bloody vengeance, he better prepare for a gruesome war. She will gladly send him straight down to the dark underworld. Later on, Jiang Tian gently reminds his little sister to report any schoolyard bullies directly to him. Jiang Wan proudly scoffs, asking who would ever dare cross her path. Not with an overpowered older brother guarding her back. Teasingly, she asks if his long disappearance means he secretly found a girlfriend or finally tied the knot. Jiang Tian laughs, telling her to focus purely on exams instead of his romantic life. He playfully flicks her nose with a gentle tap, pouting dramatically. Jiang Wan rubs her nose and boldly declares the ultimate truth. Older boys must find wives, and growing girls will eventually need strong husbands. Is there a single flaw in her flawless logic? Suddenly, a massive military jeep roars over and aggressively brakes right beside them. The towering tank leans out, laughing that the little miss speaks absolute wisdom. Oh, and the master's bloody orders have been completely executed. The street thugs have been permanently erased, though he had some unexpected backup. When old Master Guan discovered the absolute disrespect those fools dared to show, up at the Western Mountain gravesite, the elder exploded with blazing fury and slaughtered them personally. Realizing his bluntness, the giant awkwardly clears his throat. He formally introduces himself as Sheng Shuang, but happily accepts the title of Uncle Tank. His absolute mission is guarding her invincible brother day and night. To celebrate their very first encounter, he hastily pulls out a special welcoming present. He nervously hopes she will graciously accept his humble offering. Terrified the boss will scold him for gifting junk again, Jiang Tian instantly delivers a lightning-fast smack right across his subordinate's massive head. He scolds the muscle-brained idiot. He is clearly older, so why is this massive brute suddenly calling himself an old uncle? Tank panics, assuring Jiang Wan there is absolutely nothing to fear. Despite his terrifying mountain-like appearance, he is actually only 25 years old and totally harmless. If danger ever approaches, she just needs to call, and he will absolutely crush it. Jiang Tian strikes him again, ordering him to drop the intimidating gangster act immediately. His overwhelming friendliness is just embarrassing the poor girl, and if he dares use that formal mafia title again, his head will be torn clean off. Little Wan giggles, telling her brother to relax his terrifying aura. She already guessed this towering giant was older than her sibling. With a straight face, she admits she thought he was easily past 40. Later on, Tank drives the master, reporting some crucial new intel. He purchased an elite waterfront mansion, a breathtaking estate, commanding the Sea of Tide Garden. Despite finally returning home, the poor guy could not even find a moment of absolute peace. Jiang Tian scoffed, guessing his stalker had returned, perhaps even planting bugs in his shadows. Smirking coldly, he assured the elder it was merely for protection, before stepping into the unknown. Meanwhile, at the academy, a classmate warned her that the homeroom instructor demanded her immediate presence. Stepping into the faculty room, Jiang Wanwan politely asked why Teacher Wen had summoned her. The instructor was strikingly young, clad in a sharp suit, likely walking in her powerful father's footsteps. Fresh out of university, she joined Hadong No. 1 Secondary School, mastering literature and language. Upon discovering Jiang Tian's precious younger sister enrolled there, she immediately claimed the position of her homeroom guide. Under Teacher Wen's intense piercing gaze, Wanwan nervously wondered if she had committed a grave mistake. Suddenly, questioned about her legendary brother, Wanwan stepped back, shocked she knew about his grand return. Wen casually brushed it off as a mere rumor, playfully demanding an official introduction to him. Giggling mischievously, Wanwan teased that she never knew her instructor harbored secret feelings for her older brother. Recognizing Wen's unwavering support through her darkest years, Wanwan truly cherished her as a trusted confidant. She was the ultimate older sister figure. Having her as a sister-in-law would be an absolute dream. Blushing furiously, Wen scolded her for the shameless teasing, insisting she could forge her own romantic destiny. Panicking slightly, Wanwan quickly apologized, begging her beloved teacher not to erupt in anger. But since she claimed absolute independence, Wanwan playfully threatened to cancel the introduction, making Wen frantically surrender. Suddenly, the arrogant physical education instructor Song Jiang barged in, declaring he had finally tracked her down. Sensing the thick tension, Wanwan excused herself to class, but Song Jiang aggressively ordered her to halt. He barked about overhearing rumors that her sibling dared to court Teacher Wen, demanding an immediate explanation. Wen sharply corrected his wild delusions, ordering Wanwan back to her studies immediately. As the girl vanished, Song Jiang shamelessly flaunted his massive Hollywood premiere passes. Boasting about scoring exclusive premiere passes for the weekend, he arrogantly assumed she would eagerly accompany him. He demanded a pickup time, but Wen instantly shattered his ego, coldly stating she had zero free time. Furious at another harsh rejection, Song Jiang claimed true devotion, furiously blaming this mysterious rival brother. Was this mysterious brother the sole reason for her icy walls? Wen Ziyu fiercely defended her absolute privacy. Warning him to mind his own business, she banished him back to work, leaving Song Jiang seething with venom. Storming out in a blind rage, he glared at Wanwan, convinced she was playing matchmaker for her sibling. Vowing absolute vengeance, he swore to crush this freakish brother, mourning the fortune wasted on useless theater tickets. Meanwhile, a terrified classmate warned Wanwen about sinister whispers. The tyrannical Xiaowai was hunting her after classes. As the undisputed queen of academy bullies, backed by a notorious underground cousin, disaster was definitely approaching. Despite warnings about the High Road Gang, Wanwen simply smiled, declaring there was absolutely nothing to fear anymore. Her friend panicked at this unnatural calm, reminding her of Xiaowai's relentless torment and bitter jealousy over her beauty. As the Academy's undisputed shining star, Wanwen naturally attracted the vicious envy of those dwelling in her shadow. Baffled by her sudden radiant confidence, the classmate listened as Wanwen admitted Xiaowai was once a massive nightmare. She had endured the suffering long enough, but those days of cowering were officially over. A reckoning was coming. With her invincible brother finally shielding her, even the heavens themselves held no terror, leaving her friend utterly speechless. How could she sound so utterly fearless? Later, in the dimly lit equipment room, a lackey served fresh fruit, presenting it to Da Hai and Lao. The duo sighed heavily, cursing the twisted fate that dragged them back here. They had sworn to avoid this wretched place forever, but destiny possessed an incredibly cruel and ironic sense of humor. Now forced to grovel before President Jiang, they desperately needed to prove their absolute loyalty and hidden combat value. Becoming absolute hostages shattered their pride, feeling exactly like legendary immortal beasts trapped inside an unbreakable cage. Suddenly, the foolish Song Jiang strutted into the room, proudly introducing himself as the Academy's elite physical instructor. Hoping to build powerful underground connections, he shamelessly bootlicked the two highly respected gentlemen sitting before him. Desperate to display his profound respect, he confidently invited these dangerous underworld figures out for exclusive drinks. Offering his utmost loyalty, he desperately tried to pledge support for their critical mission. Would they accept his humble proposal? Offering a premium smoke, he secretly calculated. The true motives behind these terrifying savannah giants meant absolutely nothing to him. His ambition burned brightly. If he could serve as their pawn, it would be his golden ticket to ultimate authority. He refused to let this fate-changing chance slip, but Da Hai swatted the offering away, growling that they were staying put. Their strict orders demanded they guard this territory. Swallowing his pride, Song Jiang respectfully promised to step back into the shadows. This entire domain was theirs to command. One single word, and he would fulfill their darkest requests without a moment's hesitation. His mind raced with terror. Only a legendary, god-tier figure like Master Lan could command monsters of this overwhelming caliber. Earning their favor would completely rewrite his destiny with Wu Zuo. Disgusted by this display, Da Hai viciously mocked his pathetic strutting. This worthless fool dared to offer his tiny strength. Did he truly believe absolute predators would ever rely on a peasant? Kings do not ask, they conquer. The gangster warned him to swallow his words before his precious time violently expired. His mere presence was a foul stain on their patience. Get lost or face annihilation. Meanwhile, the gears of fate turned. A menacing crowd trapped Zhang Yuang and her companion. Voices sneered from the shadows, mocking their helpless prey as one girl stepped forward. Dragging on a cigarette stood Xiaowai, Hong Yong's notorious heir. A brave friend furiously challenged the delinquent's suffocating authority. Back away from Long Yiting, or face total ruin. Xiaowai laughed violently. Was this peasant seriously daring to threaten a predator? She warned the weakling to bite her tongue immediately, threatening to turn her pathetic existence into an absolute, living hell. Shielding Zhou Li, Zhang Yuang demanded the cruel bullies back down immediately. Chuckling darkly, the arrogant gang leader openly mocked her sudden bravery. Was she drawing false confidence from her brother's shadow? The delinquent snorted coldly. Such trivial family ties meant absolutely nothing here. She was merely a disposable pawn, setting the stage for a darker hunt. Absolute, horrifying shock washed over Zhang Yuang's increasingly terrified face. Suddenly, a massive thug ambushed her from the blind spot. A black sack descended before Zhou Li could even scream a warning. The inescapable trap snapped shut on them both. Escaping later, a desperate Zhou Li frantically dragged teacher Song Jiang toward the impending disaster. Long Yiting was being abducted right now, but the furious teacher simply snapped at her for causing such a chaotic, disgraceful scene. Powerful VIPs were visiting his office. He ordered the frantic student to vanish immediately or face severe academic discipline. Zhou Li pleaded. Without instant intervention, Long Yiting's fate would be sealed in utter darkness. But the cowardly educator merely scoffed in total disbelief. He accused her of spinning dramatic lies to cover up some childish mistake, completely dismissing the mortal danger as a mere fantasy. Just a pathetic excuse to skip class. Trembling violently with unyielding conviction, She desperately swore upon her own life that the horrifying nightmare was absolutely real. He viciously ordered her to peddle those fairy tales outside his door. Growing desperate, the girl seized his arm with shaking, terrified fingers. She desperately begged him to save Long Yiding from the underworld's vicious clutches. Overhearing this chaos, a terrifying presence suddenly erupted. Da Hai shoved the teacher aside, his murderous aura exploding. Who exactly had been captured? Terrified, she stammered the forbidden name aloud. Long Yiding from Class 31. Shockwaves rocked the gangsters' hardened faces. The panicked teacher desperately tried to defuse the ticking bomb. He mocked the absurd claim entirely. A daylight abduction on campus grounds? Utterly impossible fiction from a highly dramatic child's imagination. He urged the lords to relax. Smack! Da Hai's brutal palm shattered the fool's arrogance, commanding him to shut his pathetic mouth. If this wasn't a joke, Senior Jinchan's apocalyptic wrath would annihilate them all. He commanded the trembling girl to lead the way immediately. Time was rapidly running out. Sprinting outside, they finally confronted the arrogant Xiao Ai. Zhou Li pointed an accusing, unwavering finger. That was the kidnapper. Unfathomable rage flared in Da Hai's eyes as he demanded her identity. Annoyed, the spoiled brat glared back. How dare this complete stranger bark at her? She proudly threatened him with the crushing, inescapable might of the Wide Road Syndicate. Her arrogant threat was met with a devastating, lightning-fast slap. Staggering backward, she shrieked in absolute disbelief at his suicidal, completely reckless audacity. He had just signed his own bloody death warrant. Furious, she screamed at her useless lackeys to rip the man to shreds. Destroy him. But her thugs were frozen in pure, suffocating terror. A desperate, panicked whisper in her ear suddenly drained her false confidence. Impossible. Her knees slammed into the dirt as horrifying realization struck. She begged for mercy, blaming her blinding, dangerously foolish ignorance. She hadn't recognized the underworld legend. Cutting her pathetic apologies short, Da Hai unleashed a terrifying roar. Where was the helpless hostage? His glorious chance to shine for the boss had morphed into a catastrophic, humiliating failure of truly epic proportions. Someone's head would roll for this, or he would lose his own limbs. Trembling violently, the broken girl finally confessed absolutely everything. Her cousin Yuli orchestrated the entire nightmare. She sobbed relentlessly, swearing she had absolutely no clue where the captive was dragged. Defying his orders was impossible. Begging for her pathetic life, she cowered in absolute fear. Da Hai's eyes narrowed sharply. Was she talking about Yiji, the newly crowned eighth brother? With the master gone, these foolish children were dangerously playing a game of deadly, irreversible warfare. Things were getting interesting. He dialed Lao Hu. None of those absolute fools were picking up their phones. Something felt completely wrong. Wu Ji just became the eighth brother, holding the absolute weakest position. He lacked both power and the sheer courage. Their underworld experience proved that surviving without strong backing and proper intel was a massive death wish. Lao, who suspected a terrifying hidden master, pulled his strings. That hidden backing fueled his insane arrogance, kidnapping targets in broad daylight. This reckless bastard was either completely psychotic or utterly fearless, but certainly not immortal. He knew every single rat hole this guy hid in. They would tear apart every location until they dragged that rat out. Meanwhile, Tang respectfully addressed the elder. Everything was perfectly arranged. The most luxurious mountain peak mansion now rightfully belonged to him. Standing up here, the breathtaking view offered a rare, tranquil peace they usually lacked. He could finally settle down, build a powerful family, and live peacefully. Furthermore, they could comfortably settle the young lady nearby. Jiang Chen smirked, noting it sounded like an impossible dream. He grasped the heavy, midnight black robes of the elder, of the ancient Dark Heaven sect, currently hiding as the elite Black Dragon Club. Few knew its bloody history. Most likely, Tang purposely brought two sacred robes, Elder and General. Perfect. Grasping the fabric, he felt a massive wave of nostalgia from those glorious days. He wondered if Jane had grown even more stunning. Time to move. They must deal with this Pia. Moments later, a massive crowd gathered outside a towering grand building. Suddenly, a roaring car charged straight through the bustling square, scattering everyone. A furious subordinate yelled, "Who is this suicidal maniac daring to disrespect the sacred territory of the mighty Pu family? He must possess a death wish." "This is the elite club of young Master Pu Xiaogu." A guard aggressively approached the vehicle, growling that the driver better open his blind eyes, and immediately beg for his pathetic life. Did this fool not recognize death's door? He needed to back the car out before dying. A commanding figure intervened, deciding to handle this personally. Manager Wang Luo coldly stated that every commoner knew to avoid this holy ground, lest their filthy presence taint its glory. He demanded the trash stop staring and crawl away. Remove this junk car instantly. Jiang Chen lazily rolled down his window, casually mentioning he just ate a banana, completely ignoring their fury. Finding no trash can in this dump, he finished his snack. Could these barking dogs dispose of the peel? Thanks in advance. Wang Luo exploded with terrifying killing intent, roaring if this peasant understood whose territory he invaded. Step out, kneel instantly, and beg for mercy. Otherwise, his corpse wouldn't even leave this parking lot intact. Unfazed, Jiang Chen simply extended the yellow peel, repeating his lazy command to throw it away. Wang Luo's eyes widened, spotting the legendary mark of the Black Dragon Club. Shock crashed over him. Was this the legendary Dark Heaven sect? Everyone knew they were the absolute most terrifying, shadow-draped organization in all of Great China, wielding apocalyptic power nobody dared offend. Legends whispered that whenever sect members personally stepped onto the battlefield, fresh rivers of crimson blood would flood the streets. Ancient myths claim this supreme faction originated on the sacred heavenly Dragon Mountain, controlling the entire nation's destiny and prosperity from the shadows, commanding absolutely limitless resources and global empires. These divine sect members stood as the emperor's personal shadow blades and ultimate guardians. Spotting the supreme insignia on the sleeve, he trembled. A general's mark. Meanwhile, his clueless subordinate kept barking, asking if this deaf fool wanted to be slaughtered before the mighty manager violently separated his head from his shoulders. Smash! Wang Luo viciously punched his own deputy, roaring at the idiot to shut his mouth. Was he completely blind to the monstrous existence standing before them? Drop to your knees and beg. Instantly, the terrified manager fell to the pavement, groveling for this pathetic peasant's life. His blind eyes failed to recognize Mount Tai until now. He knew death was the only punishment for such disrespect. Accepting his fate, but desperately prayed this divine lord could show mercy to a repenting dog. Jiang Chen smirked, noting the manager wasn't entirely useless. Fulfill his simple trash disposal request, then he'd decide. Stepping out with overwhelming aura, Jiang Chen casually asked, "Parking right, blocking the grand entrance isn't an issue, is it?" Wang Luo practically sweat blood, stammering that his supreme lordship could park wherever he desired. Jiang Chen coldly smiled, "Perfect, now drag him straight to Pia." Minutes later, inside, a trembling scout informed Master Sha the intruder had breached the gates. Seeking orders, Pu Xiaogu waved dismissively, oozing arrogant calm. Let the dead man enjoy some tea first. The surrounding sycophants praised Master Pu Xiaogu's terrifyingly refined elegance. Their massive bloody profits from this district proved his absolute superiority. How utterly amusing that nameless street trash dared provoke a sleeping dragon. These fools clearly sprinted toward death's door. The master's his reach is vast enough to overshadow Hedong's entire young generation. Truly, he is a worthy heir to his father's legendary legacy. Pu Xiao could easily crush these fools and feed them to the hounds. The beasts have been starving, after all. But Pu Xiao smirks, declaring there is no rush. He wants to savor this absolute dominance. Besides, they are his guests, and anyone hosted by the mighty Pu family must have some entertainment value. It has been ages since their last glorious banquet. If his memory serves right, it was a few years back, when Uncle Xiao hosted the bloodbath. Now, facing just 2 targets, he sneers. Which one of you is Long Ying's brother? Jiang Chen calmly admits it. Pu Xiao bursts into arrogant laughter. So young, yet already courting death. He understands true power, and the absolute authority it grants. What a tragic waste of talent. This punk possesses undeniable skill and sharp wits, but the young master is leagues above him. Still, thanks to foolish arrogance, this meeting was darkened by pointless bloodshed. But Pu Xiao plays the generous lord. A simple, groveling apology right now will be enough to spare his pathetic life and earn a spot as his hunting dog. Well? However, Jiang Chen completely ignores him, asking if he could just shut up. The master is deciding on his tea. Tank suddenly bellows. Is this garbage all they have to offer? Hurry up and bring out the hidden reserves. The eldest brother demands perfection and honors the ancient tea ceremony. And as far as he remembers, this so-called elite family hoards 10-year-old green tea. This absolute disrespect stuns everyone in the room. Pu Xiao's smile twitches. He chuckles coldly, mocking their blinding delusions. It seems these fools need a brutal reality check. They will have to let Master Ma paint the room with their blood. A lackey charges forward with a bottle, sneering that since he loves tea so much, he should swallow this deadly brew instead. The young master prepared this special poison just for them. But Tank obliterates the man with a single, earth-shattering punch. He scoffs. Down in one strike. This trash isn't even worth breathing on. Pu Xiao's eyes darken. Just rebellious children throwing tantrums. He orders his men to brutally discipline them. Grab them. A massive swarm of enforcers surrounds them. The young master gives them exactly 30 seconds to finish the slaughter. Tank smirks, telling his eldest he doesn't need to worry. He will crush them in half the time. He snatches an assassin by the throat, hoisting him like a ragdoll, swinging him like a massive weapon. He pulverizes the entire crowd. Meanwhile, Jiang Chen smoothly glides away, picking up a teacup. Taking a sip, he casually notes that the brew resembles a soaring dragon, with leaves mirroring its majestic scales. Most likely, this false luxury attempts to trace its roots back to the glorious Qing dynasty. But this garbage never touched the 18 imperial bushes. Worse still, it fails utterly to live up to its supposed noble title. Gongcha is a sacred tribute meant only for emperors. Simply put, this dragon is an absolute fraud, a pitiful, fake Longjing. Judging by the pathetic aroma, it never even saw Zhejiang. Pu Xiao roars in fury. What nonsense is this? This is authentic Zhejiang Longjing, harvested directly from the elite protected zone near Sihu. His trusted ally has dominated the tea leaf underworld for over 10 years, amassing immense wealth. How dare this nobody spit such blatant lies? He knows absolutely nothing of tea history, totally blind to the profound martial tea path. Jiang Chen counters coldly. True Zhejiang Longjing possesses an absolutely flawless shape. Its leaves burst with bright jade, turquoise, and shimmering gold. Its heavy aroma dances with an impossibly rich freshness. But these pathetic leaves, barely dried, the scent reeks of common grass. The color is disgustingly pale because this cheap counterfeit floods the underground market an entire month before the real Zhejiang Longjing awakens. Greedy, shameless merchants exploit this exact flaw, tricking fools into paying a massive premium for utter trash. The young master is blind to the true essence of Longjing, yet arrogantly pretends he holds the heavens. I wonder how badly those suppliers scammed his noble family, charging imperial fortunes for literal weeds, claiming it is a first-class treasure worthy of an ancient emperor, vastly exceeding its dirt-cheap reality. Pu Xiao erupts in manic laughter. How dare these lowly insects mock him? They dare to trample his pride and spit on his family name. Jiang Chen ignores the killing intent. I will continue. Without Zhejiang's roots, the flavor profile is tragically hollow. Ultimately, this is mere second-rate garbage masquerading as a supreme first-grade treasure. Color, aroma, taste, and appearance, all 4 pillars of perfection, fail miserably here. This pathetic brew is fundamentally unworthy to bear the legendary name of Saihu. Pu Xiao glares in absolute silence, seething as he listens. Jiang Chen sighs. Your so-called tea path is, quite frankly, devastatingly pathetic. Fury ignites within the young master. He snarls, asking if they have a death wish. Spout all the poetry you want. You will still be slaughtered today, and your truth dies with you. Suddenly, Tank launches a broken guard, who violently crashes into the wall, shattering the stone. Tank dusts his massive hands and stomps forward. He grumbles to his eldest that these elite guards are incredibly weak. He barely unleashed a third of his raw power. Not even enough for a pathetic warm-up. Pu Xiao's eyes widen in sheer horror. How is this monster real? Jiang Chen coldly commands him to focus. He promised him absolute supreme tea, yet everything served in this cursed room is second-rate trash. He truly hoped a sip of divine tea would soothe his soaring rage, and his killing intent would. Furthermore, he proved completely useless. A heavy palm strike exploded against his cheek. Pu Xiao swatted the hand aside, his eyes gleaming with malice. He mocked the fool for celebrating too early. Had he forgotten whose territory he trespassed? Absolute agony awaited him today. A sharp clap echoed, summoning a legion of armed thugs into the hall. Suddenly, a panicked subordinate pushed through the crowd, screaming for everyone to halt. He begged his master to stand down immediately. Pu Xiao glared at Ben Shah, demanding to know what earth-shattering event justified this sudden, disrespectful interruption. The terrified servant pleaded with his master. He warned him that offending these 2 monstrous guests would bring utter ruin upon them all. Their terrifying background was simply untouchable. But arrogant Pu Xiao refused to listen, viciously slapping the servant across the face. Was this peasant daring to mock him? As a pillar of the 3 great Hedong families, he personally knew every single untouchable elite in this entire province. To him, these intruders were mere insects crawling from the dirt. The bruised servant desperately tried to reveal their true, terrifying identities. But the young master silenced him again. He fiercely declared that their origins and pathetic backgrounds meant absolutely nothing in his absolute domain. Even if the heavenly king himself sired them, he would still crush them. Landing another brutal strike, he spat that these 2 were nothing but suicidal fools. How dare they underestimate his supreme authority? Barging into his stronghold and claiming invincibility only proved they viewed him as some weak, powerless nobody. Did they think he lacked absolute prestige? He furiously barked at his heavily armed men. Why were they hesitating? Were they going to slaughter these rats? Or wait around for a polite tea party? Jiang Chen sighed with cold indifference, noting this arrogant master was truly a stubborn fool who needed crushing. Tank cracked his massive knuckles in dark agreement. Stepping forward like an unstoppable mountain, he mercilessly grabbed the two thugs by their vulnerable throats. With monstrous strength, he hurled them directly into the advancing mob. Meanwhile, Pu Xiao lounged comfortably on his luxurious sofa, sneering that the main character was putting on a pathetic show. He taunted that their brutal execution was mere seconds away. Jiang Chen merely chuckled, suggesting the young master heed his warning. Swirling his cup, he casually noted the second-rate tea was the only good thing here. He calmly advised him to savor his final earthly drink, because eternal darkness was rapidly approaching. Exactly 2 agonizingly short minutes later, Tank kicked open the heavy doors and calmly returned. Pu Xiao smiled, expecting his victorious men, but his blood ran completely cold as he stared at the absolute slaughter outside. Piles of broken bodies completely choked the corridor. Panic shattered his mind. How could an army of over 100 elites fall in mere seconds? Was this terrifying monster even human? Jiang Chen stared with piercing coldness, daring the trembling master to play his final, desperate trump card now. Without it, his imminent death was absolute certainty. Tank delivered a bone-shattering kick to Pu Xiao's knee. He spat that these weaklings were utterly useless. Trash. Why was his supreme commander even entertaining this pathetic insect? Just annihilate him. Coughing blood, Pu Xiao desperately pleaded for them not to act so rashly. He sinisterly revealed that Jiang Chen was already too late to rescue his little sister from school. A murderous aura instantly erupted. What did he just dare to threaten? The arrogant master mocked that the 2 useless guards assigned to her had completely failed their sworn, life-binding, protective duties. Laughing maniacally, Pu Xiao dared the furious brother to verify this devastating tragedy himself. Pulling out his phone, the villain dialed his top assassin, eagerly demanding to hear the terrified sister beg for her life. But a completely different, gruff voice answered the call instead. It was Da Hai, delivering catastrophic news for the villain. The elite assassin had been brutally intercepted. Halfway to his target, he was forcefully dragged from his vehicle and mercilessly slaughtered. That scum was permanently deleted. Pu Xiao screamed in absolute disbelief. How dare this lowly trash destroy his master plan? Did he possess a profound death wish? He vowed to butcher him after surviving this current nightmare. Suddenly, Jiang Chen violently snatched the device away. With a chillingly calm voice, the Supreme Commander demanded to speak with his precious sibling. A gentle voice finally echoed through the speaker. His beloved sister was completely unharmed, deeply thanking her loyal saviors. The heavy burden of worry vanished. Jiang Chen offered the trembling villain his final words. Collapsing entirely, the broken master begged to know this monster's true identity. The subordinate proudly revealed their legendary Black Dragon lineage. Hearing that mythical, blood-soaked name, the villain's soul shattered. The Black Dragon. Why was this apocalyptic truth hidden until now? Offending them was a one-way ticket to hell. Turning his back, the unbothered main character ordered his men to drag the trash away. Soon after, the ominous scent of saltwater filled the air as they arrived at a desolate, jagged cliffside. The defeated master was violently forced to his knees. The Supreme Commander coldly suggested he memorize the ocean's vast beauty, for his pathetic hourglass had finally run out of sand. Trembling violently, Pu Xiao desperately pleaded absolute ignorance. He swore on his ruined life he never knew the girl possessed such terrifying backing. He genuinely believed she was a defenseless peasant. Groveling into the dirt, he wept that his intentions were pure, claiming he would never dare harm such a fragile, innocent soul. The commander's aura turned absolute freezing black. So, if she truly was an unprotected commoner, this arrogant noble believed he could ravage her without consequence. A sharp stone struck the villain's skull. Jiang Chen roared that he had bathed in the blood of 100,000 warriors. Staring into the endless void, he remembered the relentless crimson rain soaking his armor. Since mere childhood, his path was literally paved with mountains of mangled corpses. Endless enemy skulls had shattered beneath his marching boots, burning away his innocence forever. To shield this glorious nation and its innocent citizens, he had completely sacrificed his own humanity. Yet after surviving hell itself and finally returning to his beloved sanctuary, why must he still confront aristocratic parasites who believed they were absolute gods above the law? This sickening corruption completely spat on his legendary, blood-soaked sacrifices for the realm. With devastating force, he hurled jagged stones. The crushing impact sent the broken villain violently collapsing, gasping for his pathetic life. Begging for survival, he screams he is the sole heir of the mighty Pu bloodline. They cannot execute him. His clan will pay absolutely any price for his pathetic life. Jiang Chen coldly smirks. Any price? Let us see exactly how much this worthless existence truly costs. Meanwhile, inside the lavish Pu family estate, the supreme patriarch, Pu Shamu, holds absolute court. A noble approaches, bowing deeply to congratulate the legendary master of the Pu household on his boundless longevity and ultimate prosperity. Endless crowds flock forward, showering the immortal Pu master with ultimate praise. May infinite life and absolute power bless their sacred family. Pu Shamu accepts their reverence, graciously nodding at the magnificent praise. Suddenly, a panicked servant sprints forward, desperately screaming for the supreme patriarch. Trembling violently, the man attempts to whisper dark secrets into his ear. Pu Shamu waves him off. Speak boldly, we hide nothing here. The servant gasps that Junior Master Xiao was kidnapped. The surrounding elites gasp in absolute horror. The heir was actually abducted. This brings unimaginable shame to their dynasty. How utterly audacious, especially during such a monumental event. Today marks the senior patriarch's sacred 60th birthday. This direct insult seems perfectly calculated to humiliate Master Pu Shamu. Yet, who dares challenge the absolute sovereigns of Hedong? They are either suicidal fools or hide terrifying power. Pu Shamu coldly demands the culprit's name. Producing a phone, the trembling servant admits total ignorance, explaining the captured young master called them himself. But the assailant demanded absolute personal negotiations with the supreme head. Pu Shamu commands him to declare today his 60th anniversary. He refuses to spill blood on this sacred day. Send the token, and let this foolishness end. The servant praises the Pu patriarch as a boundlessly wise and merciful sovereign, forgiving this mortal offense with the legendary Pu family. Jingguo token. Surrounding elites marvel at the patriarch once again proving his divine wisdom. No soul in all of Hedong possesses the sheer audacity to reject a heavenly gift from the Pu master. Furthermore, this transcends a mere present. The ancestral Jingguo grants absolute VIP passage throughout Hedong and far beyond its borders. It shatters every mortal barrier. Even the dominant Chen and Shangguan clans, beholding the illustrious Jingguo token, must grant the bearer ultimate sanctuary. This is a priceless treasure. He praised the foolish kidnappers. Recognize its heaven-defying worth, peacefully ending this conflict. Meanwhile, a battered Pu Shao sits terrified, weeping into the phone. The loyal steward reassures him. The supreme patriarch completely forgives this pathetic stunt. He offers the legendary Jingguo to honor his sacred milestone. Pu Shao screams at Guanjia, warning his father. They absolutely cannot provoke these absolute monsters. They are not simple street thugs. They are the terrifying imperial guards. He must immediately surrender half their family dynasty, all ancient artifacts, wealth, and countless territorial rights. The arrogant family simply cannot comprehend their monstrous power. Guanjia dismisses the panic, urging Master Xiao to breathe. This nameless kidnapper means nothing. Entering Hedong means bowing before the supreme family dragon. Even ferocious beasts inevitably choke trying to swallow their overwhelming might. So remain calm, young heir. The invincible patriarch will guarantee your salvation. Pu Shao frantically cries that letting them breach the estate means absolute annihilation. Suddenly, Jiang Chen brutally rips the phone away, declaring he awaits the master himself. Guanjia smugly warns the attacker. Their benevolent patriarch grants one merciful chance for survival. Release the heir immediately, accept the heavenly treasure, and vanish permanently from the almighty Pu family's sight. Jiang Chen's eyes turn to ice. A valuable gift? This pathetic Jingguo token. Pu Shao, does your father truly value his ultimate bloodline with this completely useless trash? The old fool has clearly lived so long. His eyes are completely blind to the blind, terrifying apex predator standing before him. I suppose we must violently force his enlightenment. He aggressively grips Tang's razor-sharp blade. With an instantaneous, blinding flash, he hurls the magnificent steel. The flawless strike cleanly severs Pu Shao's trembling hand. The air erupts into agonizing, blood-curdling screams, collapsing into the dirt. Jiang Chen coldly orders his subordinate to deliver this bloody present to the patriarch. Tang produces a silken cloth, bowing with absolute deadly loyalty. He immediately secures the gruesome prize. Meanwhile, far away, Pu Shamu confidently addresses his loyal followers, expressing profound gratitude while dismissing all their mortal concerns regarding his captured son. If not for this sacred celebration, he would personally obliterate the arrogant fool who dared insult them. The nearby noble chuckles, assuring the patriarch of their total faith. They remain absolutely certain that receiving the mighty Jingguo will instantly terrify the kidnappers into submission. Pu Shamu thoughtfully reflects that endless decades taught him true patience against mortal trivialities. Standing at the peak of martial society, he prefers showering benevolence upon his loyal allies, fairness to the weak, and ultimate wisdom toward his enemies. He favors peaceful diplomacy, only drawing his destructive blade when absolutely necessary. The elite crowd marvels at his heavenly philosophy. This truly represents the peerless way of a legendary warrior. Even without a blade, this bloodhound's sharp senses will track down those reckless kidnappers. That is, if they haven't already fled in sheer terror. A subordinate flatters the master, comparing him to a legendary commander. A titan who tames wild beasts, barehanded and anchors sinking ships with his sheer weight. Pushamu calmly sips his expensive vintage. He smirks with absolute arrogance. Suddenly, a terrified servant sprints into the hall, screaming about a catastrophic emergency. Annoyed, the patriarch demands answers. The trembling lackey stammers that a package has arrived from the very thugs they're hunting. Begging for privacy, the servant suggests moving to a secure room. But Pushamu proudly refuses, ordering him to speak openly. Right here and now. The trembling lackey assumes the enemies finally recognize the terrifying might of their illustrious family. Paralyzed by fear, they supposedly sent a peace offering to beg for mercy and erase their deadly mistake. An elder snarls that no pathetic gift can erase their insolence. They dared to trample on the clan's sacred honor. The patriarch's supreme authority was mocked. Blood must be spilled, and these fools will definitely face a gruesome execution. No apology can wash away this mortal sin. Hell awaits them. Pushamu commands his loyal butler to reveal the mysterious package. The butler explains the chilling drop-off. The shadowy target never showed his face at the designated rendezvous point. Instead, a random proxy dropped off this grim wooden box. Pushamu scoffs at the cowardice of a man hiding in the shadows. But as the butler lifts the lid, the arrogant sneers vanish. Inside lies a bloody, severed hand. Gasps echo through the room. Shock paralyzes the elite crowd. Pushamu's face twists in pure horror. It's his heir's hand. Suddenly, his phone buzzes and Jiang Tian speaks. The icy voice mocks the patriarch's age, promising to personally deliver his captive son at exactly 12 o'clock tomorrow. A final chance to say goodbye before hell breaks loose. Pushamu crushes the device in his trembling fist, his aura exploding. Blazing with murderous fury, the patriarch vows to orchestrate the most horrific welcome ceremony this arrogant brat has ever seen. What kind of suicidal lunatic dares to butcher a supreme heir? The sheer audacity makes his blood boil with ungodly rage. This ultimate disrespect cannot stand. An elder roars that this unknown bastard has crossed a fatal line, mocking their invincible master. How dare he treat the patriarch like a weak victim? The enforcers beg for the command to slaughter the trash and rescue the boy. Pushamu's eyes burn with demonic intent. Tomorrow, that fool will drown in the true, terrifying wrath of the legendary Pu clan. His execution is absolute. Meanwhile, in a bustling tavern, the massive tank violently devours a monstrous slab of roasted meat. Long Dukang sighs nervously. Their reckless tactics nearly gave him a heart attack, terrified that his precious daughter was lost forever. But surviving the wrath of the terrifying Pu syndicate, it calls for a celebratory feast to wash away the overwhelming dread. Jiang Tian radiates absolute calm. He promises to personally crush the syndicate tomorrow, ensuring they will never threaten his family again. The nightmare ends tomorrow. He casually sips his drink. Nearby, a mesmerized waitress whispers to her friend, completely captivated by the giant's appetite. Just watching the titan feast with such sheer joy is making everyone else's mouth water. Long Dukang smiles softly at the lively scene. Sharing a peaceful meal like this is an invaluable treasure. Jiang Tian watches his brother, his mind drifting back to the brutal war zones. Stationed at the deadly frontiers, the tank's legion suffered catastrophic supply shortages, turning every mission into a desperate fight against starvation. Time was their greatest enemy. During one cursed operation, his vanguard of 1,000 elite brothers was completely encircled by an endless horde. The overwhelming numbers crushed their momentum. Trapped in a suffocating death trap, the legendary vanguard couldn't smash through the impenetrable enemy lines. Forced into a tactical retreat, they fortified a pathetic trench, turning a miserable pit of mud and splintered wood into their final stronghold. Desperate to save his bleeding comrades, the giant sacrificed his meager rations. He starved for agonizing days, refusing even a single crumb. Yet, his indomitable aura never wavered. He roared commands, holding the defensive line against the relentless waves of bloodthirsty invaders. By the time they shattered the bloody siege and crawled back to safety, less than 20 battered survivors remained standing. An absolute massacre. Hundreds of heroic souls were swallowed by the crimson sands, leaving behind nothing but shattered bones and traumatic echoes. The once mighty juggernaut was reduced to a starving ghost. Completely drained of his terrifying life force, he had to be carried by his weeping brothers. Collapsing before his commander, the broken giant sobbed. The sin of survival crushed his soul. From 1,000 proud warriors, only shadows returned. Feeling totally embarrassed, Jiang Tian playfully smacks his colossal head, jokingly screaming about how this bottomless pit just devoured 20 entire servings. Is he truly indulging in pure greed, or does he foolishly believe stepping away from the battlefield grants him the right to embrace the path of gluttony and drown in civilian laziness? Tank's eyes widen, frantically assuring the elder that such disgraceful thoughts had never crossed his mind. Shen Chan asks if this is the absolute truth. Then how could he devour 20 massive servings and still dare to demand more? Perhaps a much harsher discipline is required. Brutal training will commence next week. Tank bows deeply, swearing to blindly obey the Emperor's divine command. Long Duyong freezes in shock, asking, did he just utter the title Emperor? Panic washes over Tank's face, frantically explaining that he merely meant the legendary Emperor, the mythic son of the Heavenly King, the hero who, according to ancient lore, shattered 20 chains of destiny to rescue his beloved disciple from doom. And naturally, it turns out that the elder is that kingly figure, making him his loyal student. Long Duyong breathes a sigh of relief, admitting he nearly made a terrifying assumption. For a second, Jiang Tian's overwhelming aura made him seem like the legendary god of war, the famous general of the winged cavalry, Emperor Jiang. When dawn breaks, a subordinate reports to Mr. T. Hang. The shadows revealed that Dai and his sworn brothers are also secretly tangled in this mess, though indirectly. They might intercept them here. He grasps their underlying motives, yet the intelligence warns that this opponent is no ordinary street-level thug. Extreme caution is an absolute necessity. They cannot afford to bleed massive resources just to clash with him. Even if rumors claim this monster possesses 3 heads and 6 arms, they boast an overwhelming 24 elite warriors here. Surrender is his only logical option. However, the subordinate whispers that even this feline empire has bowed to him as their undisputed king. The boss understands and accepts the deadly stakes, completely unwilling to miss this golden opportunity. If he flawlessly executes the Pu family head's absolute command, his own Hang bloodline will ascend to glory, securing a dominant seat among the elite second-tier families of Haon. Glancing at his ticking watch, a deep frown mars his face. This is bizarre. With a mere 5 minutes remaining until the fateful clash, the enemy has yet to breach their initial blockade. Have those cowards altered their strategy, or simply fled in pure terror? The Hang family enforcer shakes his head firmly. Fear does not exist in their vocabulary. These lunatics had the sheer audacity to abduct the young master. That alone proves they are absolute maniacs, completely immune to the concept of terror. He remains certain they will step onto the battlefield. The boss nods, acknowledging the grim truth. Rising to his feet, the Hang family warrior declares that the 0 hour is upon them. Every man must be battle-ready. The second the targets materialize, the slaughter will commence without mercy, and, regardless of their numbers, the master plan remains absolute. Yet, they must etch into their minds that the precious young master will be in the crossfire, demanding surgical precision to keep him breathing. Meanwhile, roaring down the asphalt, Tank furiously grips the steering wheel, growling to the elder about these arrogant fools. They clearly sense their impending doom, yet they still possess the gall to brazenly barricade the path, and he absolutely despises stalled traffic. Jiang Chen chuckles coldly, noting that their old rival is clearly weaving a grand scheme, merely trying to buy precious seconds with his usual theatrical mind games. But punctuality is a warrior's law, meaning a heavy-duty extraction is the only logical answer. Recalling the nearby Tianlang military division, he decides to summon a combat chopper, ordering their aerial forces down to Hong for a surprise tactical inspection. Tank booms with laughter, bitterly wishing he could trample them atop a warhorse. Fast forward to the sprawling Pu family headquarters. Pu Shamu demands an immediate status update regarding Hang Fakai's lethal welcoming committee. Guanjia respectfully reports that he just pinged him, yet the comms suggest absolute tranquility. A sneer forms on the youth's lips. Clearly, the enemy finally grasped the terrifying magnitude of their foes and cowered in pure fear. Just yesterday, they flaunted such sky-high arrogance. He genuinely believed an apex predator had crossed into their territory across the treacherous river, not just another pathetic weakling. Ziqing sighs in deep frustration, confessing her shattered hopes for this ruined weekend. Her heart was set on a glamorous trip to the downtown music square, desperately longing to reconnect since they have not crossed paths in ages. However, with 4 major arteries completely paralyzed by military-grade blockades, they are utterly trapped within these walls. It sparks a burning curiosity about what apocalyptic event forced such extreme measures. Wen Zhu simply shrugs, suggesting they could always march on foot to witness this monumental chaos firsthand. Suddenly, Su Jiang interrupts their gathering, demanding to know what occupies their time. When Zhu gasps at his battered appearance, demanding an explanation. Brushing off the pain, he claims a nightly park stroll took a disastrous twist when he spotted two punks viciously mugging a helpless elder. His heroic intervention sparked a wild chase as the cowards scrambled into the dark. He hunted them down, only to clash with their entire ruthless gang. A brutal brawl ensued, but he locked them down until the sirens blared. Internally, he sweats through the massive lie. He could never admit his bruised face came from throwing a pathetic tantrum after merciless club bouncers beat him into total submission. Ziqing raises a skeptical eyebrow, questioning why on earth an old man would wander a desolate park. Does the midnight breeze truly hold such irresistible charm? Besides, playing the reckless hero was foolish. A simple emergency call and patiently waiting for backup would have ensured a clean, bloodless escape. Su Jiang puffs out his chest, challenging her to gaze upon his noble features. Does he truly resemble a coward who would abandon the weak to a cruel fate? Ziqing smirks mercilessly, declaring he radiates pure scammer energy. The ruthless comment leaves Zhang Tian visibly bewildered. Before the tension breaks, Zuo loudly urges the group to sprint ahead, desperate to beat the ticking clock before the shop shutters down. He stops them with a smirk. Haven't they heard the news? The entire city center near the Pu family's headquarters has been completely locked down. Every single store is shut tight today. When Zuo glances over, her brows furrowed, asking if he said the shops were closed. Closing on a weekend? How does that make sense? Song Jiang flashes his phone with an arrogant grin, boasting that a massive event is shaking the district today. It is an open secret among the elites. Just one quick call, and she can verify everything. Moments later, he gloats that it is a trivial matter for him. The local big shots cordoned off the main roads from the Pu estate to their headquarters. But luckily, he knows a few back alley shops that survived the lockdown, so he will gladly play hero and guide them. In just 30 minutes, they could bypass the blockade and reach the music square. Since they are stranded in this miserable traffic, he magnanimously offers his own luxury ride. It is parked just 5 minutes across the street. While Xiaqing considers this golden ticket, when Zuo suddenly gasps, turning around and spotting Zhang Tian standing right beside them. His eyes widen as she throws her arms around him, her voice trembling that she finally found him. Overwhelming relief washes over her face. She had begged his sister for a reunion, never expecting destiny to answer so quickly. A lucky coincidence brought them together again. Xiaqing stares in pure shock. Why did her friend just throw herself at this random guy? Zhang Tian gently whispers that he has returned. Desperate, she asks where he vanished to all these years. He cryptically reveals that his military unit was deployed on top-secret border missions, completely erasing their existence from the outside world. When Zuo admits she relentlessly questioned her father about his whereabouts, but faced only dead silence, leaving her to uncover the truth herself. But fearing her reckless investigations might trigger deadly consequences, she was banished to study and hide as a humble teacher. But now, it seems he is ready to annihilate his grudges with the treacherous Chen family. Zhang Tian's aura shifts as he promises her absolute safety. He protected her once, and now he will crush anyone who threatens her peace. Song Jiang's eyes narrow in jealousy. Zhang Tian? Is this really Long Ying's infamous older brother? Treating the rich kid like empty air, Zhang Tian calmly asks about their destination. When Zuo nods, sighing that weekend outings are a rare luxury. She never anticipated this hellish traffic, especially with rumors that the music square was completely sealed off. Feeling ignored, Song Jiang's face twists with furious humiliation. Is this trash deaf to his voice? Still treating him like a ghost? Zhang Tian casually mentions his helicopter is arriving. He offers her an exclusive airborne ride, far above the peasant traffic jams. Song Jiang trembles with explosive rage. Xiaqing's jaw hits the floor. Did this pauper just claim he summoned a private chopper just to escape a minor street blockade? Is he utterly delusional, or does she need her hearing checked? Zhang Tian's expression remains stone cold as he confirms. Is taking a helicopter supposed to be a problem? Xiaqing scoffs in pure disgust. Boasting to impress girls is so pathetic. She knows exactly who his sister is, so his fake flex is downright embarrassing. His arrogant lies are beyond salvation. Does he comprehend how ridiculously clownish he sounds right now? Calling an airstrike-level extraction for a traffic jam. She pulls her friend away. Compared to this lunatic's fantasies, the rich kid's ride is grounded in reality. Moments later, Song Jiang bows like a pompous knight, dramatically opening his luxury car door for the ladies. He smirks, claiming he is no cheap scammer spinning fairy tales, and he certainly won't promise to magically drop a chopper onto a crowded highway. When Zuo hesitates, throwing a conflicted glance at Jiang Tian, she steps closer, gently whispering that his little joke was cute, but he should swallow his pride and ride with them. Song Jiang's eyes practically shoot venom as he glares at them. Why is she still babying this pathetic loser? Jiang Tian suddenly reaches out, gently grasping her wrist, declaring his ride has finally arrived. Suddenly, the deafening roar of rotor blades shatters the sky. Multiple dark gunships tear through the clouds. Xia Qing rolls her eyes, telling him to drop the desperate act. City choppers fly past every single day. They have zero connection to a nobody like him. But then, a massive military-grade Titan descends, hovering menacingly right above them. The beastly machine touches down with absolute authority. Song Jiang's arrogant smirk shatters into sheer terror. Two heavily armed commandos leap onto the asphalt, snapping a crisp salute. They announce the mighty Tianwang Combat Wing awaits General Jiang's orders. When Zuo freezes, utterly stunned by his supreme identity, Jiang Tian offers his hand, inviting them into his aerial fortress. She smirks at a paralyzed Xia Qing, proving his absolute dominance. Her friend blushes furiously, choking on her own words. Sweating profusely, Song Jiang stammers that it must be a pathetic rental. Sure, the guy has decent looks, but owning military aircraft, that is pure delusion for a street rat. Meanwhile, far across the city, an elite tycoon shivers in fear. A fleet of combat gunships. This apocalyptic display means Emperor Zhong, the supreme sovereign ruling half the nation, has descended upon their pathetic town. But untouchable gods of his legendary status only reside in the royal capital. Why would an apocalyptic titan manifest in this backwater wasteland? Perhaps some foolish mortal maiden. An expensive joke, but showing off one's power is worth its weight in gold. Huang Fakai nods, admitting, that makes sense. So they brush it off as a massive military drill. They decide to just wait for their VIP guest. Suddenly, the deafening roar of choppers shatters the sky. He looks up, squinting at the bizarre emblem fluttering on the flag. His eyes widen in absolute horror. Is that the legendary winged cavalry crest? Could it truly be Emperor Jiang himself? His knees buckle instantly, slamming into the dirt. The lackey blinks, completely confused. Huang Fakai gasps in terror. That is the Supreme General Jiang, the mythical red bird of the south. But why is he here? And why are you still standing? Kneel for your life. The mighty chopper roars past. Trembling, the subordinate helps him up, reporting that the fleet is heading straight for the Zhang group. Panic sets in. What do? There is only one option. They must urgently warn Master Pu. A sudden visit from the Emperor means only two things: supreme divine favor, or absolute, crushing destruction. His overwhelming power is absolute. One wrong move, and they are dead meat. He scrambles to his feet, rushing to warn Pu Shimu that the winged cavalry is descending upon headquarters. Meanwhile, the formidable Master Pu and his elite guards stride through the halls. His scouts report that the fleet's arrival has caused a massive frenzy. Everyone is rushing here, like madmen. Thankfully, the roads were locked down. Everyone is desperate to catch a glimpse of the legendary war god who brought peace to the nation. Meeting the supreme commander of the heavenly wings would be the ultimate honor. Suddenly, Huang Fakai sprints toward Master Pu, gasping for breath. He brings critical news. Pu Shimu frowns, asking if they finally crushed the rat who kidnapped his son. Whatever, that can wait. His eyes gleam with greed. The only thing that matters right now is the Sky Fleet. The man inside is the supreme ruler of the Red Bird of the South, the apex of the world, the living embodiment of absolute, terrifying power. With his backing, the Pu family could rule all of Haidong, dominating the entire province. Next to this divine opportunity, his missing son means nothing. Huang Fakai pants heavily. Emperor Jiang is heading straight to Zhang Group. Pu Shimu freezes, completely stunned. What did he just say? Keep this an absolute secret. They must move instantly. He knows that every elite family would kill for a chance to grovel before the emperor. He never dared to dream that his own family would be the first to claim this divine blessing from the Emperor of Heaven himself. This magnificent chance must not slip away. Soon after, the Iron Fleet unloads its elite troops. Zuo turns and asks Jiang Chen to join them, but he coldly declines. He has personal garbage to take care of. Moments later, he strides forward with Tank, who casually drags a body bag. Two arrogant guards block their path, barking that they must halt immediately. Who the hell are they? Jiang Chen smirks coldly. Tell Pu Shimu that his son is waiting for him in the office. The guard scoffs at his sheer audacity. He demands to see a VIP pass or they can get lost. As if trash like him knows the master, without a word, Tank hurls the battered Pu Xiao straight into the guards. Tank chuckles, calling it child's play. Jiang Chen smirks. Let's move. They casually stroll into the building, dragging the broken heir along. Meanwhile, deep inside the luxurious core of the Pu family's Zhang group, anticipation boils on the helipad. Pu Shimu paces nervously. Where is Emperor Zhang? Huang Fakai sweats, insisting he should be here. His scouts swore the royal chopper landed at the music square. The emperor could not just vanish into thin air. Suddenly, two panicked guards rush over, screaming that masked intruders have smashed into the lobby, demanding to see him. Pu Shimu snaps in rage. He only cares about Emperor Zhang. Did they spot the VIP? The guard stammers, terrified these lunatics will ruin the grand reception. Huang Feikai frowns, realizing that the security has no clue about the emperor's arrival. By standard protocol, they might treat the royal guest like a common intruder, a catastrophic mistake. He kicks the guard, roaring at him to move. Lock down comms immediately and handle the threat in complete silence. Master Pu needs to stay on the red carpet to welcome the king. Meanwhile, he will personally head down to quietly exterminate the rats. Pu Shimu nods deeply, promising to reward his absolute loyalty. As Huang Fakai sneers and walks away, he gloats inwardly. With this favor, absolute power in Haidong is finally within his grasp. Everything is playing out exactly as planned. Suddenly, a convoy of luxury cars swerves up. Pu Shimu narrows his eyes. What is the rival patriarch Liu Yong doing here? The cunning old man steps out, clapping slowly. The Pu family truly acts like the kings of Haidong. But why hide such a legendary guest from your peers? Pu Shimu smirks. Your spy network is fast, yet here you stand, uninvited. Meanwhile, back in the lobby, a bone-crushing slap echoes as Tank sneers at his victim. Zhuo was hailed as Hadong's ultimate assassin. They scoff. But is this pathetic security system the best they have? Dozens of elite guards now writhe uselessly on the floor. Jiang Tian sighs, noting Tank expects way too much from them. These mere rent-a-cops could never match the bloodthirsty mercenaries from their battlefield days. A crushed guard groans in absolute agony. Trembling violently, Wang Fakai stares at the absolute carnage. Tears streaming, he begs for his pathetic life, pleading for pure mercy. Jiang Tian slowly turns away, commanding Tank to spare the sniveling coward. Overwhelmed by sheer relief, Wang Feikai completely collapses. He truly believed his miserable life was over. Watching him run, Tank questions his boss's sudden stroke of bizarre mercy. He was weeping like a terrified infant. Jiang Tian smirks. But if you crave getting your fists bloody, you should have just asked. Tank booms with laughter, crushing such an insect wouldn't even be satisfying. Jiang Tian immediately orders him to grab the heavy bag. Toss that corpse on the table, he commands. Give that arrogant patriarch exactly 5 minutes to drag himself down here. Tank excitedly slams the lifeless body down and dials. Miles away, the powerful Pu Xiaohu severely questions the sudden interruption. The terrified minion lies, claiming the situation is perfectly handled before desperately fleeing the scene. He insists his security forces have already neutralized the rogue intruder. Smug Patriarch Pu orders them to exterminate the trash and return to base immediately. Noticing the heavy tension, Liu Yong raises an eyebrow. Master Pu, your aura feels violently unsettled. If family matters, press you, simply deal with your pathetic mess first. I can wait. But Patriarch Pu firmly waves off the deep concern. No trivial family dispute outranks honoring a supreme guest like you, he declares. This prestigious Zhanglong territory absolutely demands the Pu bloodline to provide a legendary, flawless reception. Watching this, Liu Yong can only silently wonder to himself, is this elder truly abandoning his own blood? Meanwhile, Tank growls that the arrogant bastard totally rejected their call. What a tragic waste of mercy. Jiang Tian's eyes glow coldly. Guess I will violently deliver the message myself. However, we are taking the express route down. He casually hurls the young master's corpse straight through the shattering glass window. Panic erupts on the chaotic streets below. Screaming civilians point skyward as a massive crowd swarms the bloody impact crater. Staring at the horrific mess, Jiang Tian smirks. Let's plunge. Using massive glass shards as daggers, they dive straight down. Not since the bloody war have I felt such intoxicating adrenaline. He roars. Down below, a horrified Pu Zhao who desperately approaches the mangled corpse, ripping away the bloody fabric. His absolute soul shatters into pieces. My precious son, who did this? Cradling the broken boy, he swallows his devastating wrath. To secure the Pu family's future, his bloody vengeance must wait. Eyes blazing with hellfire, he commands his elite shadows. Hunt down the wretched bastards who slaughtered my boy. But first, Completely erase this mess before the legendary emperor arrives. If we offend him, our entire bloodline will be totally annihilated. Scrub this bloody pavement spotless. Securing royal favor tragically outweighs mourning his slaughtered heir. Obeying instantly, the terrified guards hastily bundle the corpse. Suddenly, a devastating shockwave erupts. Tank crashes down like a meteor, viciously punting a guard across the street. Who the hell are you monsters? A guard shrieks before Tank's skull crushes him into the concrete. Jiang Tian casually steps forward. Pinning a guard beneath his boot, he sneers. Are you Pu Xiaohu? Tracking your pathetic shadow is getting incredibly boring. The terrified crowd gasps. Did these terrifying demons literally plummet from the heavens? Staring down the patriarch, Jiang Tian declares his brutal intentions. I know your blood boils for ruthless vengeance, an eye for an eye, but let me promise you this. Stepping to me will only guarantee your absolute destruction. Suffocating on pure rage, Pu Xiaohu glares at this arrogant monster, swearing to rip his soul apart. Yet, an impending imperial visit violently shackles his deadly fury. You insignificant trash. Pray you possess the brains to vanish silently. He desperately needs Hadong's ultimate VIP arrival to remain utterly flawless today. Swallowing his killing intent, the elder barks, name your bloody price. Jiang Tian pauses, an amused smirk twisting his face. Buying silence. How pathetically hilarious. A dark chuckle escapes him. Fascinating. To protect your fragile empire, you gladly swallow the brutal murder of your own blood. Fine then. Bleed 100 million for me. Pu Xiaohu's eyes widen in absolute shock. A furious lackey lunges forward. 100 million. Are you completely suicidal? Bragging loudly, the fool claims his master is Hadong's most untouchable overlord. Kneel and beg for forgiveness immediately. Cough up compensation, and maybe our Grand Master will grant your pathetic life a swift ending. Jiang Tian cracks his knuckles. Guess your rabid dogs really crave a bloodbath after all. Well then. Terrified of escalating chaos, Pu Xiaohu screams for a halt. Viciously backhanding his own loyal subordinate, he violently roars. Who gave you permission to bark? Trembling with suppressed rage, he hurls a mythical Zhanglong Platinum card holding exactly 100 million. Catching the ultimate fortune, Jiang Tian scoffs at this filthy blood money. We're done here. But remember this terrifying warning. When these funds run completely dry, I will be back for your head. The patriarch secretly swears. Once the heavenly king leaves, vengeance begins. He swore to exact a bloody vengeance. Tank growls that just to seize absolute supremacy and ultimate control, that monster ignored his own bloodline's slaughter. Jiang Tian smirks, noting the rotten apple never falls far away. He silently prays the old man stays healthy just long enough to shatter his kneecaps and leave him groveling forever, begging for mercy before his mother's tombstone. Tank shivers, completely overwhelmed by the emperor's bone-chilling aura. Zhou casually strolls over with a bright wave. Ziqing follows closely behind, excitedly mentioning that her eager companion also came to behold the legendary Emperor Jiang. Xiang Tan asks why they aren't at Music Square. Zhu explains. The mythical god of war was descending upon the Zhanglong Corporation, so she rushed over hoping to witness his divine presence. A massive sea of people swarmed the majestic building. Ziqing gasps, declaring this the perfect moment for the god of war to grace Hadong. Sadly, the elite Zhanglong Corporation strictly permits only aristocratic families holding over 100 million. Suddenly, she squints. How did this guy appear? They never crossed paths, proving he actually emerged straight from the prestigious Zhanglong headquarters. Jiang Tian calmly nods, admitting he had crucial matters to crush there. Ziqing rolls her eyes, mocking his shameless talent for spinning absolute fairy tales. Song Jiang scoffs, sneering he clearly burned cash to rent a flashy helicopter just to fake an elite status. He arrogantly suggests the poor loser should have invested in survival instead of this pathetic illusion. He schemes to humiliate this trash to impress Wu. But before his malicious thoughts fully form, Jiang Tian coldly interrupts, stating the absolute truth. Their pathetic disbelief means absolutely nothing to him. He turns his back, tossing them a mysterious pass to enter Zhanglong. Song Jiang bursts into mocking laughter, demanding exactly who he's scamming with this cheap plastic trash. He warns the girls to reject it, claiming they'll simply face humiliating disgrace when rejected. He aggressively boasts that true power takes just one phone call, flaunting his personal connection with the mighty Hang Fakai. Tank's killing intent explodes, growling. One more disrespectful breath, and his pathetic life will end. Immediately, Jiang Tian raises a hand, halting the execution. Such a meaningless insect isn't worth dirtying their boots. They must leave. Desperate to flex his connections, Song Jiang dials Hang Fakai's number, but a terrifying roar erupts, threatening that if he ever dares dial again, assassins will be dispatched. He shakily drops his phone, cold sweat pouring. Is this terrifying reality truly something mere mortals can grasp? His fragile mind shatters. Trembling on his feet, he suddenly notices a massive, reinforced glass window completely obliterated into dust. Song Jiang's soul leaves his body. Why is the supreme boss, Hang Fakai, furious? Meanwhile, Zhou smirks, noting the pathetic show-off just dug his own grave. Unlike the unshakable Jiang Tian, he absolutely should. Never forget, play with dragon's fire, and you will turn to ash. She casually slides the mysterious VIP card to Zicheng, urging her to seize this golden opportunity. Turning away with mysterious grace, she whispers they'll reunite someday. Catching up to Jiang Chan, her eyes sparkle as she suggests dining at the legendary Zicheng nearby. Zicheng stares intensely at the dark card. She simply cannot comprehend why Wu is utterly captivated by this enigmatic man. But she desperately yearns to know. Even though this battered plastic looks completely useless, a sudden instinct overtakes her. Sprinting desperately, she loudly cries out, begging them to wait. Meanwhile, the shattered Song Jiang grovels, questioning how his perfect reality instantly crumbled.